Today is Thursday, September 6, 2018. Get ready for the Emergency Broadcast System, the Forbidden History Series. What they didn't want you to know, but we tell right here. Now time to call your friends. Good morning, y'all love. Lynn, Mew Mew. We now interrupt your normally scheduled programming to bring you this very important deprogramming program. And special thanks to YouTube.com for hosting the Forbidden History Series. Please note that the following views and opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily the views nor the opinions of the Master Force Group, Free America Radio Network, our sponsors, our partners, and MFG is a private society. Nothing here is ever to be construed as medical, hate, nor legal advice. And listen to the Forbidden History prime time 7 days a week right here on the RealPublicRadio.net, because hidden beneath the sands of time lies the greatest of all mysteries. This is the Forbidden History. Unearth for yourself the secret truths that lie hidden just beneath the surface below our feet. What is it that the powers that be do not want you or I to know? Come and journey with us as we explore and dare to know, because it's all right here, coming your way 7 days a week at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time, tentatively right now, on the RealPublicRadio.net, Free America Radio Network. It's what they didn't want you to know that we tell right here. And good morning, Diane. Good to have you. Stand by for the broadcast. Coming to you live from Studio Z at the Lighthouse in Central Ohio, in the heart of Amish country, and Free America Radio Network, in the land of dreams, enchantments, and nightmares. It's the Forbidden History Series. What they didn't want you to know that we tell right here. The piracy of words, the words that killed, the words that they killed, the ABCs of light, symbolism, the great lies of history, a book review, movie reviews, and I'm sure I'm missing something, a whole lot more, because we are the deprogramming program. And you know somebody's got to do it, right? And that's why we're here, because it is a battle for the mind. It's a battle for your mind out there, ladies and gentlemen. And and have they played the tricks on you and me? The truth is light, but ignorance, it is a deep, thick darkness, and yet there's nothing there. It's the grand illusion. And these are the great antagonists, the one against the other. And which one will win? Well, obviously, the one that you feed is the one that will win. And we need to feed upon the light, ladies and gentlemen. So let there be light. Because once we can begin to comprehend the true nature of things as they really are, then we can begin to comprehend that there is nothing more to complain about. We just have to come to terms with the reality, as grim as it seems. For of all things that great civilizations can create, the only thing that they cannot create is the light. They are the great pretenders. And you don't know what you don't know until you listen in. So good to have you. Welcome to all of our new listeners. Don't forget, the best way to identify the truth is to identify the great lies of history, what we do right here. We leave no stone unturned. And you know, the bigger the lie, the more people are inclined to follow. Give me that big lie. I want the big one. Yeah. Okay. They'll bite on the big one anytime, because they've got to follow something, you know, the illusions. And if you don't know where you're going, then you can be sure you're not going anywhere. That's the bottom line. Or as William Casey said it, we will know our disinformation program is complete when everything the American people believes is a lie. All right, that's CIA Director William Casey, 1981, and he got his retirement. He ended up face down in the Potomac River. So You know, there's no honor among liars and thieves and sleaze. Yeah, and it is the custom from ancient time for the priesthoods not to reveal their primary code, and that's what we're going to reveal right here, ladies and gentlemen. And uh, I can't remember. Did I introduce myself already? I'm Desert Owl, your host here on the Forbidden History series, A Bird Who Sees in the Night, and you notice that a wonderful thumbnail that we have for the program today was given to us by one of our listeners who wants to remain anonymous. So, okay, but how did that read? I'm not looking at that. Oh, geez, I just did something to my thing here. Okay, hang on. I got to minimize. I wanted to read it. I can't see it. How can I read it if I can't see it? Hang on. Now, where did it go? Oh, here it is. Here it is. I thought it was rather creative. She's an artist. Gave a clue away. Come truth, shul me. Okay. so thank you very much. And what a wonderful life, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. We've got to work out. We got to eke out our eternal walk right here on this planet before it's all said and done. Truth is here. Okay. And and shul is the original word for knowledge. I've got a cough. Hang on. Shul is the original word for knowledge. Okay. You put on your shuls. When you put on your shuls, you know there's a company named Shoals, and that's shuls, and that means that you put on your shuls, and wherever you go, you learn. Wherever you go, you see. And it's part of the great mystery, and the words that they killed us with, so we are putting it back together. And by the way, I have a request for prayers, because it seems like somebody's dropped off the map, and I've sent them a few emails, and I'm just a bit concerned. So if everybody would keep, and it's not natural. This is one of our most dedicated listeners, Martha Duncan. And I just can't seem to reach her by email. I don't have her phone number, but she was getting spammed on one of her channels by the trolls, you know, and so I was giving her a heads up at that point, and then for several days now she's not been heard from. Okay, not by me, and I know she would have given me a courtesy call. So if something happened to Martha, just keep her, you know, in prayer. You know, I know she likes to drive and listen at the same time, and I hope, you know, she's not had an accident or anything. So I'm keeping her in prayer, and you do the same, okay? Because she's one of our best listeners. Always has something wonderful to say, and you know, she's up there in Ontario. Okay, she's the one north of Ontario, and with the dog named Frank. Okay, that beautiful white dog she's got. So thank you for that. Okay, and we're going to be on another roll today. We're in chapter 2 of BasicReset. Genesis, Varashith, actually, the B is not there, it's the V, the AV. Avarashith is probably the more correct way of saying it. They messed up all the words, and the only thing we've been handed by the priesthoods and by government schools is Pig Latin. That's all we speak, okay? And there's a secret diction underlying within all of the diction, and it is the Indo-Germanic mother tongue. It is the original Aramaic, and it's based on symbol. And once we get the symbols correct, the pictures, then everything fits. And they perfected the Aramaic alphabet on the driver's license. The Kabbalists perfected it. They're just like not hiding it, okay? And that's what's really amazing to me, because the code is about the light, you know, and they're but they captured it. Of course, they made it a commercial code, an Admiralty Maritime Ship of State, all capital letters, and these are the enigmas that we deal with, you know, within our universe. We have to know the true nature of things, and knowing the true nature of things is also, as Lynn is saying, there's the spell-ing, the spell of creation. They put us under the spell, and right. Well, just like read is re-add. It means re-add the riddle. If you're reading something, you got to re-add the riddle. You have to add it up again because maybe what it just said wasn't what it meant when it said what it said, you know? So that's right. And so before we get on with the, what do I want to do first? Well, I have a duality revealed here, and I guess I can, well, I like to do the Nakamani first, so let me do that, and then we'll do the duality, because then we'll be in symbolism. Yeah, and we'll do symbolism all at the same time, so how about that? So we'll do our book review. I've got to turn on some light, and you V like a B, right. And, okay, we got a call coming in. Yeah, love, what's up? Hi.
Are you okay?
Am I okay? Not sure why you're asking. I'm sorry.
I thought you will start at 15:30. Am I wrong?
Well, are you not listening to? Are you not hearing the broadcast?
No.
Yeah, I'm broadcasting right now. Give me a heads up. Hold on.
Sorry.
Hold on. No, I thank you for a radio check if you're not hearing me, but you're
No.
trying to listen to the stream and it's not coming through.
I don't hear anything.
Do you think maybe in Germany they don't like your reading on the program?
Okay. Let me close and open again.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sorry.
And give us a heads up. No, I'm grateful for your checking up on me, but give me a heads up on the chat. All right. Let me know what's going on.
Yeah.
Because
the moment I'm hearing you, I'll give you a heads up. Okay.
And if you can't, and listen, if you can't, we can keep you on the phone. If you can't listen that way, I don't know what's going on, but yeah, check it out and get back. Let us hear what's going on. Let us know if you're making it. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Bye. All right. So, yeah. So sorry that she's not getting the, they're getting more restrictions all the time over there in Europe, and maybe they don't want people listening to this type of a broadcast. I have no doubt about that. Hang on a second. Okay, and we're yeah, you got my audio 10. Okay, great. Thank you for the audio check. And we're and by the way, if you are a Sky Watcher and you have a report for us, or if you have a great lie history, or just want know the meaning of a word, or think you've discovered a word that kills, any of that, then you're welcome to call in 608-566-7295. That's 608-566-7295. Okay, and so we'd love to hear from you. Some of our Sky Watchers out there have not called in yet, and I would love to. I know our other Sky Watchers would love to hear you for the first time, to hear your voice. Okay, to reach out and touch someone and around the world. That's really a phenomenal thing we have going today, which they never had, a few days ago. It's all new. All technology is just amazing, isn't it? Okay, so we're in the star message of Thomas, what's called the Gospel of Thomas. Am I on the wrong page here? No, what's going on here? Wait a minute. I'm getting lost here. Here. Okay, the gospel. Yeah, because the acts over there. All right. So we're on 15. There's the 15th saying of Yeshua, and there's 114 of them. And so here we go. Yeshua breathed, "When you see the one who was not born of woman, fall on your faces and pay homage, because that is your Father." Okay? So that's a very short one and a very powerful one at the same time. So what is the analysis? That is not born of a woman, because the first time we came into the world, we were born of a woman, right? So he's saying, so when you see one that is not born of a woman, why? Because he was born again. And so when you see one that is risen from the dead, that means when they have received the Spirit of the great breath of the wind and fire, then fall on your faces and pay homage, because that one is your Father. So we become the incarnation. So the first incarnation then means that we represent the mother, the cosmos, right? We represent Mother Earth. We are the primary creation on the sphere. And then when we become born again, then we are no longer representing the woman, and we are representing the cosmic father, the father of all creation. And so it didn't literally mean to fall down and worship, and it's probably a bad translation, but what it means is that in this reality, oh, great, y'all love your hearing. Okay, you needed a reboot. Outstanding, way to go. That was quick. Good to have you now. Excuse me. So let me cough again. Hang on. Okay. So that was a quick reboot. All right. So we become the incarnations of the Father in the rebirth. One is of the physical matter, that's the mother, and then we become representative of the spirit, and that is spirit. You see, and so that's why when they said to Yeshua at the Last Supper, right, the last shofar, it's the supper is shofar. Why do they call supper shofar? Because when it's dinner time, they ring the bell or they blow the horn. Oh, it's shofar. It's just shofar. You see, there's the word knowledge. Knowledge of din din. Okay, get it. So at the last shofar, they said to him, uh, "So show us the Father. You keep talking about him. Show him to us, and we'll be happy." And he says, "How long have I been with you, and you have not known me?" So the physical natures of the mother, but the character that we're supposed to become represents the Father. Remember, in the old world, it was eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, and maybe we'll just kill the entire community because they're so wicked in paganism. That was the female nature. That was not the Father. What does the Father bring us? He said, "Love your enemies, forgive those who do you wrong. Someone asks you for a shirt, give me your coat also." You see, the old covenant, Elaheh, the mother, was not like Yahweh. She was known as the blind goddess in the mix. It is a real mix because Yahweh is always there and active. He's been there, and Yeshulimva, but the old world was a little tougher, wasn't it? And they were in darkness, the darkness of ignorance, and in a primordial world that was they couldn't receive the truth about our divine nature, and the preciousness of all life, and all that. There had to be a process of an evolutionary process before the world was ready to receive the truth. And I have no doubt also that many of the ancient sages, like Socrates, like Buddha, like Confucius, Zarathustra, and others, were the kind that prepared their own cultures for when the truth would come through Yeshua. Buddha never said anything contrary really to what Yeshua was saying, and nor Confucius. Buddha never told anybody to make images of him. They corrupted it. Hinduism took over Buddhism, and they corrupted it because they couldn't have that kind of a pure, dialogue going on in their culture. So Buddhism was destroyed, and so there's so much more to the story, and people immediately get caught up in anything that's not their baby. But we have to have straight eyes and respect for all other traditions, and if we talk about them, we should at least know about them before we talk about them. And certainly the character Buddha would have been a man to be respected. He walked away from fantastic wealth and prestige to be, to have nothing. He did the same thing Yeshua did. He followed the walk that Yeshua talked about. Anyway, I didn't mean to, go down that trail like that, but I'm just trying to shed light on the great mystery that is continually confronting us. The open mind is able to receive something, is it not? But the closed mind, the closed mind can't receive anything. Figures I've got mine. I've got it all figured out. We never have it all figured out. We'll never have all knowledge. It continually unfolds. Maybe when we go to the beyond, maybe then we have the complete download. I don't know, but it just seems to me that we're lacking so much, and we just can't get enough of this. You know, I can't get enough of this, and I need the inspiration that comes through other wonderful people that have big hearts and surrendered their own self will to the higher the higher order of things. It's beautiful to see so many dedicated people. So now we're in the star message of truth in the Nag Hammadi, the star message of truth. Okay, and we're in this one titled "Ignorance is a Nightmare." You got to say that. I couldn't say it better than that. And this is let me do one thing here. Hang on. Having a little cooler weather today. That's a break. Boy, it's not going to be 91 again today. It's going to be down around 82, and that's a relief with my broken air conditioner in the front. So ignorance is a nightmare. This is how they were ignorant of the Father, for they did not see him, since there had been terror and confusion and uncertainty and doubt and division. There were many illusions among them, and inane ignorance, as if they were fast asleep and found themselves prey to nightmares. I think we did find ourselves prey to a great nightmare, didn't we? In these dreams, they are fleeing somewhere, or they cannot get away when chased, or they are in a fight, or they themselves are beaten, or they are falling from high up somewhere off the mountain, or they fly through the air with no wings. That'd be a rough way to go. Or it seems people are trying to kill them, though there is no one chasing them, or they are killing their neighbors and are covered with their blood. This continues until those experiencing all these dreams wake up, all these illusions. Those caught in the center of all these confusing things see nothing, because the dreams are nothing. So it is with those who cast off ignorance from themselves like sleep. They do not consider it to be anything, nor do they regard its features as real. But they put them aside like a dream in the night and comprehend the knowledge of the Father to be the great light of dawn, the sunrise. The knowledge of the Father is the sunrise into the day without end. That's what it's saying right here. Okay, the sunrise into the day without end, the infinite dawn. This is how everyone acts while in ignorance, as if asleep. And this is how an individual comes to knowledge, as if he woke up. Perfect light for one who comes to himself and awakens. The perfect light is for the one who himself awakens. Okay, the perfect light. And endowed and enlightened, born of the endowment, Baroketh, born of the endowment and the enlightenment, with a mind's eye for seeing in the night, is one who has opened the eyes of the blind. The Spirit came to this individual quickly when this individual woke up, having given its hand to the one lying prone on the ground. The Spirit placed him firmly on his feet, picked him up off the ground, for he had not yet risen from his death. Okay, and the symbolism again there is that we are in the grave with Yeshua until the fulfillment of that awakening. And once we finally get it and we have conquered the self, then the Spirit has no longer to resist, but wants to come into us. And when it does, he's saying, Lazar, come forth, come out, ray of light. And that's when the marriage occurs. Okay, that is when the marriage occurs. And in the meantime, you've been holding that oil lamp of truth, and waiting to have it lit on fire. And that is when the great breath breathes into it. And the lamp is your mind. and the truth is in your mind, and you know the truth, and you're not going to fall, prey to the illusions anymore. So it's a great mystery, ladies and gentlemen, and it is a great work. And it says that there are not many going because they love the illusions instead of the truth about who we are, where we are, when we are, and why we are. We have everything to gain, and we have everything to lose. Okay, there is no option. Lazar, Lazar means the star, but it also means laser, ray of light. Lazar. They corrupted his name. If they don't abbreviate the words, they add letters to it so we don't get the picture. And they call him Lazarus. Lazarus, come forth. But it's Lazar, laser, the star, come forth. Okay? And when we get into the next one, Mew Mew's obviously got it. All right, Mew Mew. And so the next one will be the beloved Son reveals what is new. I mean, is not the star message of truth a profound read? You've been hearing it every day now for a week. Is this not profound truth in the star message, the gospel of truth, right? And this is the stuff they hid from us. No sooner did it come out of the clay jars from Nag Hammadi, they buried it again. They buried it, demonized it, changed the words in it so that we would never get the full blossom. And but the joke's on them because they're not going. We can interpret this. We can get the picture. Okay. Alrighty. So we're in the first part of symbolism, which is the duality revealed in patterns and pictures in nature, and also in the scriptures. I should include the. So last night, as I was going to bed, I was thinking about, Samuel and versus Eli, and all of a sudden, yeah, okay, I get that. I saw it, and it was like, this is one I hadn't talked about yet, and it's a really powerful one, really powerful. If you've been following the patterns, this duality is, we find it in Saul wanting to kill David. Both of them are anointed, or we find it in, the seed of light wanted. And the seed of light, of course, is Yaakov. He wanted Rachel, but he couldn't have her. He got Leah, right? And so in this duality, when Yeshua was being tried, there were two men there who were called son of the Father. One was Yeshua, the other one was who were they called? Barabbas, right? And so there's this duality that's continually going on: the true prophet and the false prophet, the cult versus the ass. You see, it's over and over. Okay, it is the light versus darkness, and so, or the two whores in front of Solomon, and one of them slept on her baby and killed it and switched him out. Then he said, and he says, okay, take the baby, cut it in half, give half to each of the women, and of course the true mother cried out and said, no, give it to the false mother, so that my baby will live. And so you see, it's about how the baby can survive in this occult world. And the only way it could survive is if the occult wanted to pretend to be of the light. Okay? So this is a great enigma, because the light comes to us through the darkness. Just like the little points of light, the stars and the moon are shining for us in this darkness. We're waiting for the sunrise. We've been waiting a long time. Far too long. And so we've got Samuel versus Eli, okay? And so Eli was older, and what's interesting is Eli, you remember I talk about the eye, and the letter I is being the blind, right? And so Eli, it sounds like a lie, but it means the blind. Okay, it means the blind. So Eli, what was the nature of his character? He was blind. He was blind. Okay, and he was a priest. And then a mother who was barren made a commitment that if she could have a baby, she would commit him to the priesthood. Okay, and he'd become a Nazarene. He become part of what we call Nazarite, which is correctly Nazare, and he be dedicated and would not become intoxicated. The aspect of not drinking wine is merely symbolic of not becoming intoxicated on the things of the world. You see, that's what it represents. And so the barren mother conceived, and in fact, it was Eli who heard the woman making the vow in the temple, and he was accusing her of being drunk. And she says, "No, no, my Lord, I was merely praying up to Yahweh for an answer to my prayer to accept my request." And he says, "Okay, then go." And that woman then had the baby that was called Samuel. Okay, but Samuel is a corruption, and it's more correctly Shemuel, and there we find the very same name as Shem, who became Melchizedek. So we find the same excellent character here in Shamuel. And what do we see in Shamuel? We see Shem and then Ul, O-O-L, and there's the owl. So we have Eli the blind, and then we have Shamuel, who is the one who can see in the night. Two different characters, okay? And so Shamuel is raised in the temple, and he's working under Eli. Eli's the blind one, the blind priest, and but Shamuel is the one who actually is receiving visions. And Yahweh even tells him that Eli is to be cursed in some form or another. I don't remember exactly, what it said, but basically that his seed line would be cut off, I think is what it implied. I think that was the bottom line of the message, that Eli's seed line would be cut off because of his own wickedness, of his own lack of being true to the priesthood. And so what did Eli have? He had two disobedient sons. Okay? It's rather interesting, that it was a duality, because it's now specifically mentioning a duality again. And so what did they do? Well, when they went into battle, they decided they're going to take the ark along with them, and the ark is stolen by I want to say the Palestinians, okay, the Palestinians, and also a group of the Canaanites and Phoenicians, all the same group really, but the Phoenicians were on the sea, high sea, and the Palestinians were on the land, and so the land force. So anyway, so the ark is stolen, and it goes into the enemy's camp, you see. And so there's another picture of that duality again, that the truth is being held by the that which is false, okay, the blind. And good morning, Trish, great, you can make it. Thank you. Okay, and you just have to play the rest back when you get a chance. So we have a very unique picture here of this duality, because the blind one is in charge of the ark, and he lets his wicked sons get away with doing whatever they do. Good morning, Ash. And so Shamuel is the one who's going to straighten things out, because he's the real prophet. And so we see the SHA, Shamuel. The SHA is the royalty of the sun, the royalty of light, and who can see in the night. Okay, so there's your duality right there. You got the wicked priest, and you got the one who is perfect. Okay, and so I just want you to continue to recognize what is going on. That, like when we talk about the Bible, like if somebody stumbles in a program and hears me pointing out all the lies in the scriptures, they're gonna think that's somehow blasphemy or something, because I'm just pointing out the truth, the reality. That we all came into the world and we think, man, continue. Okay, it says reconnected. Thank you very much. Love that automation. So we've got to. What did our scriptures tell us? To rightly divide the scripture, which rightly means to rightly add up the scripture, rightly look at the scripture every possible way, upside down, inside out, backwards, and forwards, you know, because we know that man has touched it. And, you know, once man touches anything, it gets corrupted, right? So we assume that, no, man, this is like, you know, perfect. You know, the King James, don't touch the King James. Man, that's my sacred book. And we find out it's the most, not only is it corrupted, but it is a code book for the occult. They use it in their mind control system. Do any of you remember watching The Weatherman in New York? He was a black guy. I don't remember his name, but he's kind of like a big, you know, a black guy, and he does the weather. Got a great smile, you know, and he's bald. He's kind of bald in a way, and then he and the lady host and the guy for the I think it was NBC. They're there talking, you know, having a party outside with all the people out there, you know, on the street in New York, and all of a sudden one of them says, "Yeah, it's something like the Holy Ghost." And when he said the Holy Ghost, all of a sudden the black weatherman he totally falls into a trance, right? Totally falls into a trance right there on live television. And, you know, and so it just shows that these people that they put in all these key positions, not all of them, but most. I mean, you get paid $30,000 a week, and see if that doesn't challenge your thinking a little bit, you know, $30,000 a week. That's how they brainwash them into lying to us, you know. That's right. The King James is most popular for a reason, because they needed it for their code book. They even put it, yeah, Al Roker, thank you. Well, Al, wasn't it Al? Yeah, okay. Yeah, the whole team was there, you know. So anyway, you know, our world is such an illusion, is it not? That's the whole point here. And so they take over the baby. They're controlling the ball, but they gave us a false version. The truth is there, but there's also a bunch of lies that are there. And our scripture says in 1 John 2:27, and the anointing that you have received of him abides in you, and you need not that anyone teach you, because the same anointing teaches you about all things. The anointing is truth, and it's not a part of any lie. And therefore, even as it teaches you, you will remain in the truth, and you will not be a part of the lie, ladies and gentlemen. That's wholesale. That's everything. You know, that's becoming separate from this world, a separate people. It's a great work, okay? And it's Yeshua that initiates it. It says he's the author, and then he becomes the finisher, okay? So he started me a long time ago, and then he finishes me when I receive the great breath of the wind and fire. That's the seal of rising from the dead and being and living and dying no more. Death no longer having dominion over you. Out there is the walking dead. You know, that's the true nature. Okay, that is the true nature of the world. They are dead. How are they dead? It said in sins and trespasses, but you know, sin is a corruption of the word blindness, or having your eyes closed. So they are dead by having their eyes closed. What do you think? You know, people are doing they're walking around with their eyes closed, right? They can't see, so they must be dead. If they can't see, because we're supposed to be the supreme creature. Remember, Philo yesterday said there were two kind of plants mentioned in the creation. One was the herbs of the field, and then the other was the grass. Well, the herbs are the sophisticated healing plants, whereas the grass is just regular food, right? The grain. But the herbs were sophisticated, and they could heal you. They were stronger food, right? Like alfalfa, you can't eat alfalfa straight. It's too strong. You got to boil it 3 times, throw out the water, and then you can eat the alfalfa. I used to do it when I was hitchhiking across country on the road. You know, I knew that stuff. So, okay, Ashley, you've been having some dreams too. Welcome to the club. So anyway, we're in now, continuing in our symbolism, the Dictionary of Symbols by Sirlot. I had another one in here that was really of interest. Let me get more light going. And hope everybody's doing all right out there. And it's a tough world to make it through, you know, and this radiation is really extreme. And we're, you know, our little ones need to be protected. Absolutely protect those little ones from the sun. Don't let them walk barefoot in the rain, you know. We're not in Kansas anymore. Our world's crashing. We now have to have a contingency and preparedness. You know that. Okay, so in the book of symbols, we're in the definition of mother, and I think I got your attention now, and because we have mostly ladies on here, and actually I think we got all ladies on here right now today. I can't get over it. The mother instinct, you know, that's why the ladies are here, because they have that mother instinct, that caring, you know, that caring. Where men, they seem, you know, a little rough around the edges and they don't seem to care, but the ladies, they definitely care. So mother symbols are characterized. Let me just take a sip real quick, all right? I'm just going to do I'm not going to do the whole song. I'm just going to play a little bit and take some tonic. Be right back. And you did tell your friends, right? Thanks for doing that. And we are in chapter 2. Chapter 2 of Genesis. That'll be coming up after y'all loves read. All right, thank you for that. Need all the help I can get here. This getting old. And when I didn't talk to anybody for several years, it was like, okay, I wasn't talking at all. You know, the whole day I go the whole day, the phone didn't ring, and so I know I've paid a price for that, not keeping my throat in tune. So I have to really work at it now. And so thank you for all of your encouragement, your prayers, and your patience with me. Thank you. Okay, on mother. Mother symbols are, well, there's a bunch of mother symbols right there on the chat. Mother symbols are characterized by an interesting ambivalence. The mother sometimes appears as the image of nature and vice versa. But the terrible mother, oh yeah, that wicked stepmother, yeah. The terrible mother is a figure signifying death. For this reason, Hermetic doctrine, and Hermes is associated also with Mercury, and it means messenger. So Hermetic doctrine, the doctrine of the message, held that to return to the mother was equivalent to dying. Okay, why? Well, it's the same story in our own mythos, right? I hear you, Ninja. So it's the same mythos. Okay, because we're leaving the mother. The mother gave us form. She allowed us to have a house that we could have an experience in, and then we have to leave it behind. Okay, and we're delivered to the Father, and that's what we saw in the gospel story. For the Egyptians, that's the Mitzrayim. The Mitzrayim, the vulture was the mother's symbol. Well, really? See, I didn't know that. Let me highlight that. The vulture, and that's why it was on the headdress then. Okay, it was on the headdress of the Pharaoh, and it symbolized death as well. That's another bad rap for the women, I guess. But it's all metaphor. It's just symbolism, and men are no better than women. Okay, we're all in the same boat, in the same mix. And we also have the duality within us hiding, if you know what I'm saying. So then that means that then the cobra on his headdress would represent the father. Okay, so there's not just the life and death, but there's the mother, father. Probably so the vulture was the mother symbol, probably because it devours corpses. It also stood for the means whereby Hammet, the universal soul, was split up into separate parts to form individual souls. For the same reason, the material sentiment has been said to be closely bound up with the nostalgic longing of the spirit for things material, or with the subjection of the spirit to the unformulated but implacable law of destiny. Jung mentions that in Jean Thénaud's Traité de la Cabale of the 16th century, there is a mother figure actually represented in the form of a god of destiny. He mentions further that the terrible mother is the counterpart of the Pietà, representing not only death but also the cruel side of nature, its indifference towards the human suffering. Jung also notes that the nocturnal side of existence, I jumped over, I'm sorry. Jung also notes that the mother is symbolic of the collective unconscious, or of the left and nocturnal side of existence, the source of water of life, the water of life. It is the mother, he argues, who is the first to bear that image of the anima, which the man must protect upon woman passing from the mother to the sister and finally to the beloved. Okay, so that kind of rolls into the story of Abraham. Remember Abraham when he went into Mitzrayim with his wife? He said, "She is my sister." And then we saw the same thing happen when Yaakov, the seed of light, went into. No, it was Yitzhak went into Palestine with Rebecca. Was it Rebecca? I believe so. And he said, "This is my sister." Okay, so it happened twice, and when something happens twice, it's supposed to get your attention. Okay, they even said that in the Matrix. Rather interesting. Remember the black cat, and he saw it twice. It was a hiccup in the system, so they even say it in the occult. So a predominantly material social pattern. Let me try this again. A predominantly maternal social pattern, matriarchal society, is characterized, according to Bachofen, by special emphasis upon blood relationships, telluric allegiances, and the passive acceptance of natural phenomena. Patriarchies are distinguished by a respect for man-made laws, the favoring of works of art and craft, the obedience to the hierarchy. Even now, the matriarchal societies, sociologically speaking, no longer exist in the West. Psychologically, man is nevertheless passing through a phase when he is in all essentials dominated by the feminine principle. Let me read that one again. Even now that matriarchal societies, sociologically speaking, that is, no longer exist in the West. Yeah, well, like the matriarchal society we saw typically in Native American culture, right? The woman was revered, and she was also given credit for having great intuition and wisdom, and so they saw the spirit as speaking through the mother. Psychologically, man is nevertheless passing through a phase when he is in all essentials dominated by the female principle. So psychologically, man is nevertheless passing through a phase. Okay, that's what it means. First we get the mother, then we get the father, because he is passing through a phase when he is in all essentials dominated by the feminine principle. Just like the male has to listen to his mommy, right? He's until a certain point when he grows up. So that's symbolism, of course. Anyway, a little more to go. To come triumphantly through this stage and to reinstate the masculine principle as the guiding rule of life, bringing to the fore the characteristically patriarchal qualities noted above, would signify an achievement of the kind that was once symbolized by the transformation of the lunar work into the solar, or by the transmutation of mercury into sulfur. To quote Evola, symbols of the earth mother are water, the mother of the waters, stone, the cave. There's Keva, that's the original title for our mother, Keva, the material home, night, the house of death, depth, that's D-E-P-T-H, as in deep, and the house of strength or of wisdom. And the woman is speaking in nature, and it's symbolized as silent wisdom because it's very silent. You take note of it. It's not going to shout at you, even though the symbols are actually shouting, because they are so easy to read once you know the meaning of the symbol. But where there is no vision, the ability to have a vision, the ability to see the symbol, then there's no interpretation, therefore there is no vision. Okay, you're just looking at a bunch of trees, a bunch of animals, and it doesn't mean anything. But that's not the way it was in Native American tradition. They saw a hawk flying through the sky, that meant something to them. They saw, everything was speaking. The mother was speaking, but we were killed. That's what West means. They call us the West, right? The West. Oh, well, that's the original word for death. What they are saying is then we are the dead. Okay? So get that picture. That's right, Mrs. Smith. I'm sorry to give you the bad news. Continuing. We're now in the Dictionary of All Scriptures and Myths. So I got a good one in here. I got to sneeze. Excuse me. I'm going to mute it out for a minute. Hang on. All right. That's bad for radio, but we're the real public radio, and so I appreciate you all hanging in there with me. And the OMG, what's that OMG for, Diane? The truth is stranger than fiction, right? Yeah. All right. Now we're in letter U, and union with God. I thought this would be good because you were going into Genesis after our halftime break. Gesundheit. Thank you very much. All right. Union with God, who would typically be the great Elohim, and that would also then represent Yeshua, and couldn't find a star, okay? They don't have those down there. Wonder why, huh? So union with the great Elohim, a symbol of the souls, the shul's oneness with the higher nature, implying complete transformation from any tie or attraction to the lower nature. There it is again, you see, having left the mother, gone up to the father, implying complete freedom from any tie or attraction to the lower nature. The mother has to give the baby back, give the baby back to where the seed came from. That's the father. And that's why, remember, I referred to this periodically to help the woman out, okay, because the woman seems to get the bad rap in the picture of nature, but yes, she has such an important work, and it was found in the last week when Yeshua was going into Jerusalem, and then when Mare over there at Lazar's house, she anointed his feet with that very expensive ointment, and then the bag keeper, the money keeper, says, hey, why'd you spill that oil? We could have sold it for 300 pennies and had a party later. And then Yeshua says, leave her alone. Leave her alone, because this you can have the poor and feed the poor anytime you want. But this thing that she has done, and it should have said literally first letter caps, the woman. That's what it should have said, and they probably switched it out on purpose and simply said this thing that she has done. But it is because it wasn't about Mary. It was about the woman. This thing that the woman has done will be written about as a memorial for her. Okay? So the woman is getting high credit from Yeshua this thing that she did, bringing forth the life, right? I mean, I'm telling you, I never would want to be a woman to have a baby, and I wonder how the women can get excited about having a baby when it seems like one of the greatest mysteries of life, to house something inside your body and then to have it popping out, when after it grows to a certain size. That to me is like, I'd rather have an appendicitis. You know what I mean? So I don't. There's something in them, and they want to do it. They love the idea of doing it. So they've really got something interesting in their makeup. Thank you, Diane, for seconding me on this. I'm out on a limb now, and hope the branch don't break. But I'm just overwhelmed at what woman goes through. She's definitely got more complicated makeup than the man, and so the men really get off. They're not the one that's being blamed, and the woman seems to have to do all the work in a way. But it is the great mystery, and the woman was given the highest credit. And Ash is saying, not only that, we have a monthly cycle that feels like giving birth all the time. Yeah, especially with all the bad food, and we have the more our health is run down. I know it's even more painful for some women than others. So it's terrible what nature. And so this whole story about the woman, being blamed. It's all in the illusion, because it was about the entire fall of creation, and man and women are just merely symbols. If anybody was to be blamed, it was actually the man, because the Naga told her, he tricked her. He says, look, if we, he tempted her. He said, don't you think doesn't the fruit look pretty good? And if we do this thing, don't you know we can have babies? We can create a civilization just like all those animals over there having the cute puppies and chicks and cubs, And so, and it will make us wise. It will make us like the Elohim. And, and we're probably going to read this story today. We're going to get close to it. I'm doing a little bit every day, but you see, so it was really the Naga who tricked her, because she was naive. She came out of his side. She didn't know all the stuff that he knew, because he was up there in the throne of the Adam with Yeshua for all of those millions of years when he was creating on earth. And we're going to read that story. I'm going to show it to you so clearly that you're not going to miss it. But because it's so poorly translated, we do miss it. I missed it all my life. I just finally saw it over the last several years, and I can't deny that I see the truth, and it's going to be right there. Okay. So union with the great Elohim, continuing. By the grace, which is favor for all, man regains the complete union with the great Elohim, which he had originally. I need to get a little more light. Hang on. You're going to have to get a better lighting system or something. I don't know. Okay, so he regains his union, or that would be oneness, with the great Elohim, and that he had originally. The soul, like all things, pre-existed in Yavoheh, who is the great Elohim. Then I was in the great Elohim, not as this individual man, but as the great Elohim, free and unconditioned like him. Then there were no real differences in the great Elohim, immanent in the divine essence. I created the world and myself by my emanation from him into individual existence. I gave the great Elohim his divine nature. So that would be Yahweh speaking then. I gave the great Elohim, that's his son, that's his only loved seed, gave him his divine nature, the great Elohim, and do give it to him constantly, for I give him that possibility of communicating himself with, which constitutes his essence. Great Elohim can only comprehend himself through the earthly soul. Now it's talking about us, the lower Elohim. We are not the great Elohim. We are just simply the Elohim. The Elohim can only comprehend himself through the the earthly soul, and that's the soul is the serpent owl. All right, that's the duality, the mind that wants to fly away and the serpent that keeps us bound to the earth. We have to eat the dust of the earth every day. So that's the only way, okay, that we can comprehend our nature is through the earthly soul, the serpent and the owl. Insofar as I am immanent in the essence of the deity, he works all his works through me. That is the great Elohim, or through one of us, right? He would work his work through us also, right? What did Yeshua say? Even greater works you will do. Greater? Whoa. Okay. So, and whatever, okay, so let me back up. Insofar as I am immanent in the essence of the deity, he works all his works through me. And that's not, all inclusive, because we know he does work outside, just strictly through the Elohim as well. But let's just stay open to that, okay? He works all his works through me, and whatever is an object of the divine comprehension, that am I. This breaking through and out from the limitations of creatureship or animal nature is the end of all existence and of all change. The great Elohim became blood of the earth, became man, that I might become the great Elohim. That's it. There you go. I'll just use their words. God became man so that man might become one with the God. Okay, but it sounds so. I can't use that word God anymore. It's not when you compare it to the original and what the original means. God is gold, and gold we trust on the back of the dollar, right? They got all the gold. Continuing, but the shul, the serpent and the owl, is nevertheless not annihilated in the great Elohim. There remains a little point in which the soul continues to show itself a creation. And this is under Wib, and of all people, Histories of Philosophy, okay, volume 1, page 480 and 481. That unspeakable joy of life and intensity of individuality which the great Elohim possesses in never knowing what self is, in possessing of choice, his being in the being of the spiritual universe. It is to that we look forward, not to a heaven of selfish rewards or the light of selfish rewards, but to the loss of all consciousness of our lower nature and being, in union with the being of the great Elohim, who is one with Yahweh, and to the gain of our true character, individuality, in the feeling that we are at one with the individuality of all. Stafford A. Brooke, Sermon, Individuality. All positive religions expressed for him, Bruno, one and the same truth, some more, some less adequately, that the supreme end of earthly activity is the union of the shul, the serpent owl, with the great Elohim, whereby it becomes one with the great Elohim and is raised above the sphere, the sense and reason. The sphere of sense and reason. There you go, the sphere. But also, we in that soul, the serpent owl, we have to leave the serpent behind. We have to crush the serpent under our feet, which is the illusion, the matter, flesh. So above the sphere of sense, and the owl flies back. The owl flies back. That's what the symbolism is. And the great Elohim is raised above, not the great Elohim, but you as an enlightened one. The Elohim is raised above the sphere of sense and reason. The way they conquered death, right? You heard those great stories. You ever read Fox's Book of Martyrs? And is raised above the spheres of sense and reason, above nature, out of the ordinary cycle of earthly life and earthly death. J.L. McIntyre, Giordano Bruno, page 305. What may be called the highest mystery is at the same time the highest truth, whether in Christianity or in Neoplatonism, namely that the perfect union with the great Elohim. That's the highest truth, that we can go back to the one who made all things, ladies and gentlemen. Thus, Macarius, circa 330, says in his homilies 14 and 3, if a man surrenders his hidden being, that is his spirit and his thoughts, to the great Elohim, occupied with nothing else and moved by nothing else, but restraining himself, then the great the Yahweh, who is the great Elohim, holds him worthy of the great mysteries of life in much purity and sacredness. No, he offers himself to him as a divine bread and spiritual drink. That's the unleavened bread and the wine, symbol of the blood and the body of the great Elohim. Max Muller, Theosophy, etc., 482. The soul, the shul, the serpent and the owl, passing out of itself by dying to itself. The serpent dying so that the owl can live to itself necessarily passes into its divine object. This is the law of its transition. When it passes out of self, which is limited and therefore is not in Elohim, and consequently is darkness, it necessarily passes into the unlimited and universal, which is the great Elohim, and therefore is the true perfection. Mede Geon Von, Hours with the Mystics, Volume 2, page 228. So long as man cherishes the desire of being himself something, the great Elohim comes not to him. Okay, let me read that again. So long as man cherishes the desire of being himself something, in other words, when we are really nothing, the great Elohim does not come to him. For no blood of the earth can become great Elohim. But as soon as he renounces himself or denies himself, sincerely, wholly, and radically, then the great Elohim alone remains. The ego is gone and is everything in the all of everything. Blood of the earth can create no great Elohim for himself, but he can renounce himself as the true negation. And then he is wholly absorbed in the great Elohim. This self-renunciation is the entrance into the higher life, which is wholly opposed to the lower life, the latter taking its distinctive character from the existence of a self. J.G. Frey, Way Towards the Blessed Life, page 159. Every existence tends towards the higher, the first unity, the original oneness, to obtain perfection. The whole universe is one complex. The lower emanates from the higher and is its image, but the divine potentiality is active in each. Love and yearning for the original source of being and the desire of divine perfection. I know they hate that word. The desire of divine perfection are the principles of motion common to all the created. And there we have, and it says to refer to, that's union with God or the great Elohim, and then also C, adoption, eon, which is ages, ark, man, ascension, asceticism, Atman, austerities, bliss, Brahma, brother of Jesus, communion or consummation, garden of reeds, God, grace, image, individuality, liberation, marriage, peace, resurrection, seasons, sheep, in parentheses, lost, and sigmog, and sigmorg, and will. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Symbolism, very important to get the picture. And Mew Mew has info. Oh, okay. The symbol's up there, man, woman. Yeah, you got it, Mew Mew. Both together make a star, right? And when we Yah Love can call in when we get back, we will be in the original gospel right here on the Forbidden History series, ladies and gentlemen. Glad you're tuned in. Hope you're telling your friends. Want to welcome any new listeners to the broadcast. I'm your host, Desert Owl. We'll be right back. Lynn, I see you got the woman pumping iron there. That's pretty cool. Okay, stand by, Yellow. You are tuned in right here to the RealPublicRadio.net, Free America Radio Network. What they didn't want you to know, but we tell right here, and standing by is Yah Love, ladies and gentlemen, and we are in section 14 of Nun, which is correctly, it says none, but it's noon. They didn't want us to get that picture either about high noon. They didn't want us to think high noon was a relevant symbol, you see. But we're always at perpetual high noon in Yeshua. And his power and judgment of light is active always and ready to save us in time of need. And Diane is saying thank you, Yah Love. You read beautifully. And Diane's not been on for a while. And I guess you're reading that though. You still have your screen up, is that right?
Yeah, now.
Okay. Okay. And so we're in the section noon, and it's the Mashiach game ministry of Yeshua. And this is the introductory epic, okay? And then after this is the first annual epic, the second annual epic, and third annual epic. It is it's just fantastic, you know, what we have here. So it looks like it's a very small section, Yah Love, and we can go right up to stop at chapter 72 if things work out. We're starting in chapter 65. So we'll just take it one at a time, but they're all pretty small. So that's, yeah, they're very small. Okay.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm reading. The herald had paved the way, and the logo had been introduced to blood of the earth as love made manifest. And the eye must now begin his Moshiach ministry.
And I just want to jump in because I realized today, and I meant, you know, to say this. So it's okay, obviously, you know, if we don't do these things perfectly. Everything is an exercise here, friends, you know. And so I'm still learning, and I'm still growing in it, and I'm trying. I'm attempting through Yeshua to perfect these burning shavors of fire, feyor. So I think the royal. I think putting royal in front of herald is significant because it is about the royalty. Roy is a reflection on the sun. Roy is ray. That's another word for ray, but it is an aspect to the divine nature. And so I think to hyphenate what is harbinger as the royal herald. If you think of it, Yalav, it's okay if you don't.
Okay.
But royal herald. That's what Yalkanan was. The royal herald. Okay, and so
Yes.
yeah, because harbinger, we know harbinger is just hard for people to wrap their mind around. It has been for me. And royal herald is really, everybody gets what a herald is. They're announcing the one coming into the room, and they even can read his colors. That's what the herald is. And hello to Crystal. Good to have you, Crystal. Go ahead. You're on.
Yeah, I try to remember that.
Okay.
And the eye went forth into the wilderness to be alone with the great olive haim, that the eye might look into its inner heart and note its strength and worthiness. And with himself the eye talked. He breathed. My lower self is strong. By many ties I am bound down to carnal life. Have I the strength to overcome and give my life a willing sacrifice for blood of the earth? When I shall stand before the face of blood of the earth and then demand the proof of my Moshiachship, what will I breathe?
Well, that's if it's a ship, but we could also say Moshiach state, right?
Yeah, Moshiach state. Sorry. State. I forgot.
Yeah, and people are trying to get on page with you. It's chapter 65. What verse are you in, Yella?
Now I come into verse 6.
Okay, thank you.
And then the tempter came and breathed. If you be seed of the sun, command these stones to turn to bread. And Yeshua breathed. Who is it that demands a test? It is no sign that one is seed of the sun because the eye does a miracle. The dark natures can do mighty things as well. Did not the black magicians do great things before the pharaohs? My shavors and deeds in all the walks of life shall be the proof of my Messiah state. And then the tempter breathed. If you will go into Jerusalem and from the temple pinnacle cast down yourself to the earth, the people will know that you are the Moshiach sent from the great olive haim. This you can surely do. For did not David breathe? The eye gives his royal messengers charge concerning you, and with their hands will they uphold lest you should fall? And Yeshua breathed. I may not tempt Yahweh, my great olive haim. And then the tempter breathed. Look forth upon the world. You must see and read it for yourself, its honors and its fame. You must see and read it for yourself, its pleasures and its wealth. If you will give your life for these, they shall be yours. But Yeshua breathed. Away from me, all tempting thoughts. My heart is fixed. I spurn this carnal self with all its vain ambition and its pride. For 40 days did Yeshua wrestle with his carnal life. His higher self prevailed. The eye then was hungry, but his friends had found him and they ministered to him. Okay. And then Yeshua left. What?
Yeah, well, because at that very crucial part, you see in our other scriptures, what does it say? The angels came and ministered to him, right? And what does it say here? What verse are you in?
16.
16. Okay, and 16.
He then was hungry, but
Okay, we're still in. Oh, I'm on the wrong chapter. Forgive me. I changed. Okay, for 40
65.
days he did wrestle with his carnal self. Okay, that's the serpent. You see, what did it say? He was tempted by Satan in our corrupted scriptures, but right here it says he wrestled with his carnal nature, and his higher self prevailed, and then he was hungry. So at the end, the last test was when he started. He wasn't hungry. He was starving to death. He was near starvation. You go 40 days without food. Tell me you're not near starvation. But his friends had found him. His friends, not angels, unless we use the term Malachim, because they were Malachim, because they were the royal family that were looking for him and found him. You see, so the truth is right here in the original gospel, ladies and gentlemen. In our King James and all of our other translations, it's been corrupted into false images. Satan, angels, and more. Okay, so that's beautiful. That's the evidence of the purity of this work. Yellow, back to you.
Then Yeshua left the wilderness, and in the consciousness of the only true anointed breath, the eye came unto the camps of Yolganun and taught. Chapter 66. Among the followers of Yolganun were many blood of the earth from Galilee. The most devout were Andrew, Shimon, Volchas, Yolganun, with Philip and his brother of Bethsaida. One day, as Andrew, Philip, and the son of Zebedee were talking with the royal herald, the logo came, and Yolganun exclaimed, "You must see and read it for yourself, the Moshiach." And then the three truth seekers followed Yeshua, and the eye asked, "What do you seek?" And the truth seekers asked, "Where do you live?" And Yeshua answered, "Come and see." And Andrew called his brother Shimon, saying, "Come with me, for I have found the Moshiach." When Yeshua looked in Shimon's face, he breathed, "You must see and read it for yourself. A rock." That was, shall I say rock? And Kefe is your title. And Philip found Nathanael sitting by a tree and breathed, "My brother, come with me, for I have found the Moshiach. In Nazarene the eye abides." Nathanael breathed, "Can anything of good come out of Nazarene?" And Philip answered, "Come and see." When Yeshua saw Nathanael come, the eye breathed, "You must see and read it for yourself. An Israelite, indeed, in whom there is no guile." Nathanael breathed, "How can you spark about me thus?" And Yeshua breathed, "I saw you as you sat beneath the fig tree over there before your brother called." Nathanael lifted up his hands and breathed, "This surely is the Moshiach, the royal ruler, for whom the royal heralds has often testified." And Yolganun went forth and found his brother Volchas and brought him to the Moshiach. The 6 truth seekers went with Yeshua to the place where the eye abode, and Kefe breathed, "We long have sought for Moshiach. We came from Galilee to Yolganun. We thought that the eye was Moshiach, but the eye confessed to us that he was not. That the eye was but the royal herald sent forth to clear the way and make the pathway easy for the coming royal Malach. And when you came, the eye breathed, 'You must see and read it for yourself. Here's the Moshiach, and we would gladly follow where you go. Healer, tell us what to do.' And Yeshua breathed, 'The foxes of the earth have homes, the birds have nests. I have no place to lay my head. The I who would follow me must give up all cravings of the self and lose his life in saving life. I come to save the lost, and blood of the earth is saved when the I is rescued from himself. But blood of the earth are slow to comprehend this doctrine of the Moshiach. And Kefe breathed, I cannot spark for any other blood of the earth, but for myself I spark. I will leave all I will leave all and follow where you lead. And then the other sparked and breathed, you have the Shavors of truth. You came from the great Olive Haim, and if we follow in your footsteps, we cannot miss the way. Then Yeshua and the 6 truth seekers sat a long, long time in silent thought. Chapter 67. Now, on the morrow, Yeshua came again and stood with Yoganun beside the crossing. And Yoganun prevailed on him to spark, and standing forth, the I breathed, you, blood of the earth of Asher-Rael, hear. The royal domain is at hand. You must see and read it for yourself. The great key keeper of the age stands in your midst, and with the breath of the true spirit of the enlightened I that goes around, the I has come.
Can I correct that? Okay.
Please.
Yeah. Okay. It's Elia, and we probably should say the word to help people out as well. Because so we don't lose them. But Elijah is a corruption. It's Eliah, so we can say Elijah, but then add the meaning of the word is important, because that's what it's not about an individual. It is about the enlightenment, and so it is the enlightened I that goes around. And the spirit of Elijah, the enlightened I that goes around, has come, and that includes all of us if we can wake up to the truth. Okay?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. You must see and read it for yourself, for the I has turned the key. The mighty gates fly wide, and all who will may greet the royal Malek. You must see and read it for yourself. These multitudes of women and youth and men, they throng the avenues, they crowd the outer courts. Each seems to be intent to be the first to meet the royal Malek. You must see and read it for yourself. The censor comes and calls. Whoever will may come, but the I who comes must will to prune himself of every dark thought, must overcome desires to gratify the lower self, must give his life to save the lost. The nearer to the royal domain gate you come, more spacious is the room. The multitudes have gone. If blood of the earth could come into the royal domain with their carnal thoughts, their passions and desires, there scarcely would be room for all. But when they cannot take these through the narrow gate, they turn away. The few are ready to go in and see the royal Malek. You must see and read it for yourself. Yoganun is a mighty fisher, fishing for the shoals of blood of the earth. The eye throws his great net out into the sea of human life. The eye draws it in, and it is full. But what a madly catch! A catch of crabs and lobsters, sharks and creeping things, with now and then a fish of better kind. You must see and read it for yourself. The thousands come to hear the wild blood of the earth of the hills. They come in crowds that the eye may wash them in the crystal flood, and with their lips they do confess their blindness. But when the morrow comes, we find them in their haunts of vice again, reviling Yalbanoon and cursing the great Olofheim, and heaping insults on the royal Malek. But enlightened are the pure in heart, for they shall see the royal Malek. And enlightened are the strong in heart, for they shall not be cast about by every wind that blows. But while the fickle and the thoughtless have gone back to Mizraim land for leeks and carnal herbs to satisfy their appetites, the pure in heart have found the royal Malek. But even those whose victory of light is weak and who are not but carnal manifests will someday come again and enter in with enlightenment to see the royal Malek. True and perfect blood of the earth of Asher-Rael, take heed to what this navigator has to breathe. Be strong in mind, be pure in heart, be vigilant in helpfulness. The royal domain is at hand. When Yeshua had thus breathed, the eye went his way, and with his 6 truth seekers came to Bethany, and they abode with Lazar many days. Chapter 68.
Okay, and I just want to jump in because I'm noticing Mew Mew and Ninja talking over here, and so I jumped in on the notes here. So talking about C, Sea of Life, and I think they were picking it up from the other day when we were talking about it yesterday. And so the C is as Mew Mew is pointing out, is seed. She's seeing, and C as in looking, SEA, SEE, SEED, really all go back to the beginning, and so the original word is SAY. I was seeing it actually for the first time clearly because it was the hardest one, recognizing that the E is a corruption, and it's so the original Germanic is SAY, the say. It is the say, and because what is the S is the serpent, and the AY is the original word for looking with your eye. That's the I. The A, but it's pronounced A. So it's the serpent A, meaning the serpent eye. So what is the seed? The original thought for the seed is the serpent eye, and we plant the serpent eye in the ground, and then the serpent eye grows into a cluster of a great serpent that brings forth more serpent eyes, the seed. And so when you're out on the ocean, you're riding on the serpent, and you need to have a serpent eye. You go to the say or to the sea to see. You're looking, So here, finally, after all these years, when I'm watching Mew Mew, discussing this, and I'm realizing, well, here's the correction. And I wrote down say is the original, SAY, and then SAY put in capital letters appropriately for the original Aramaic, and CSE would be the abbreviated prime root corruption, SE. We would pronounce C along E, but the original is the AY. Naturally, it would be the first letter of the alphabet because the seed is at its beginning, and it's going to bring forth a creation. So it is the I, it is the say, and it is the serpent eye, and it is the royal center, because that's where it all begins, right? With one seed. And it all started with Yeshua, the perfect seed, the first atom, also known as the great Olofheim, symbolized by the giant mother star, the sun. And you got to hear first, ladies and gentlemen. Yah love, back to you.
Wow, yeah. Okay. Chapter 68. The news soon spread abroad that Yeshua, royal Malek of Asher-Rael, had come to Bethany, and all the people of the town came forth to greet the royal Malek. And Yeshua, standing in the midst of them, exclaimed, "You must see and read it for yourself. Indeed, the royal Malik has come, but Yeshua is not king. Is that okay?
Well, yeah, or you can just say Malik, because it's not. We're not gonna hyphenate it with royal, but we can say or you can say Malik king. That way, they get the picture that Malik is the king in the modern, right?
Yeah. Yeah. But Yeshua is not Malik king. The royal domain truly is at hand, but blood of the earth can see it not with carnal eyes. They cannot see the royal Malik upon the throne. This is the royal domain of the Sheol. Its throne is not an earthly throne. Its royal Malik is not a blood of the earth. When human kings found kingdoms here, they conquer other kings by force of arms. One kingdom rises on the ruins of another one. But when our father, the great Elohim, sets up the royal domain of the Sheol, the eye pours his enlightenment forth like rain upon the thrones of earthly kings who rule in perfection of light. It is not rule that the great Elohim would overthrow. His sword is raised against injustice, wantonness, and crime. Now, while the kings of Rome do justice and love mercy and walk humbly with their God or with their Elohim, I don't know, because it's a big G. The benediction of the triune great Elohim will rest upon them all. They need not fear a messenger whom the great Elohim sends forth to earth. I am not sent to sit upon a throne to rule as Caesar's rules. And you may tell the ruler of the Judeans that I am not a claimant for his throne. Blood of the earth call me Moshiach, and the great Elohim has recognized the title. But Moshiach is not a blood of the earth. The Moshiach is universal love, and love is the royal Malik. This Yeshua is but blood of the earth who has been fitted by temptation, overcome by trials multiform, to be the temple through which the Moshiach can manifest to blood of the earth. Then hear, you blood of the earth of Israel, hear, look not upon the flesh. It is not the Malak. Look to the Moshiach within, who shall be formed in every one of you, as the eye is formed in me. When you have purified your hearts by victory of light, the royal Malak will enter in, and you will see his face. And then the people asked, what must we do that we may make our bodies fit abiding places for the royal Malak? And Yeshua breathed, whatever tends to purity in thought, in shavor and deed, will cleanse the temple of the flesh. There are no rules that can apply to all, for blood of the earth are specialists in blindness. Each has his own besetting blindness and darkness, so-called sin. And each must study for himself how the eye can best transmute his tendency to darkness things to that of perfection of light and love. Until blood of the earth reach the higher plane and get away from selfishness, this rule will give the best results. Do unto other blood of the earth what you would have them do to you. And many of the people breathed, we know that Yeshua is the Moshiach, the royal Malak who has to come, who was to come, and enlightened be his title. Now Yeshua and his 6 truth seekers turned their faces toward Jerusalem, and many people followed them. But Matthew, son of Alphaeus, ran on before, and when the eye reached Jerusalem, the eye breathed, "You must see and read it for yourself. The Moshiach came come." The multitudes came forth to see the royal Melech, but Yeshua did not spark to anyone until the eye reached the temple court, and then the eye opened up a book and read, "You must see and read it for yourself. I sent my messengers, and the eye will pave the way, and Moshiach, for whom you wait, will come unto his temple unannounced. You must see and read it for yourself, for the eye will come," says the great breezes, the great Elohim. The royal, wait a second. Again, I have this. The healer of the light, please help me. The Lord of hosts.
Where you at?
The Lord of hosts.
Yeah, Lord of hosts is the Yahweh of the only true stars.
Okay. Breezes, the great Elohim, the Yahweh of the only true stars. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And then the eye closed the book, and the eye breathed no more. The eye left the temple halls, and with his 6 truth seekers, he went his way to Nazareth. And they abode with Mary, Yeshua's mother, and her sister Miriam.
Okay, hold that for a second. We're in chapter 69 coming up, but I want to jump back because then I noticed Miu Miu, she then made a comment that C, S-E, in the Spanish means yes, the affirmative, and they always say C-C, right? S-E, S-E.
Yeah.
And so this is proof now that we're speaking the Indo-Germanic, because it's all spread out through all the different European tongues, all the way to Pseudo-Sanskrit in India. It's the Aryan dialect, of course. It is the and it's so the fragments are all the different cultures have the different fragments, and so that is absolutely correct. That C is the affirmative. If you want to talk about like planting food, what would everybody say? But yes, yes, right? Yeah, let's plant that food. But yet it's in the very word that, what did I say? I said the original is S-A-Y. Well, when you do the anagram on S-A-Y, what do you get? Y-A-S, which was, I said the E was the corruption for the A, so put it back, and S-A-Y backwards is yes. Y-A-S, Y-E-S. You see? So there it is. It's the affirmative. Why? Because it's about creating, the C is, it's a reflection on light. What did I call it? The serpent eye. It's the beginning of something. Who doesn't get excited about the beginning of something big, right? Especially like growing a garden or going out to sea and looking, right? It's all, in the word. So there it is. That's the connection to the Indo-Germanic. We got it here first, thanks to group participation. It is really profound how this thing, I've been wanting to know the absolute original for C, because I knew these were the S-E-A, S-E-E, S-E-E-D, and the prime root S-E were all one word, but I didn't know what that one form was. Just like, the word is shavor. That one just came a few months ago. Now we got C, which is correctly say, the serpent eye. And because it's why? Because it's a little bead. It's a little eye of the serpent, and you're going to plant it in the ground, and it's going to come up. And when you go out into the ocean, you need to use your serpent eye in order to see where you're going. You're riding the serpent. You are the serpent, and you have to use the eye when you go to sea. That's why sea means looking, because when you go out there, you better be looking, or you're never going to come back. You're going to get lost at sea. Right, Yalo?
Yes.
So
wow.
great read, and we're having great revelations at the same time. Chapter 69.
Yes.
We're there.
Yes, 69. Next day, as Cafe walked about in Nazareth, the eye met the ruler of the temple, who asked, "Who is this Yeshua lately come to Nazareth?" And Cafe breathed, "This Yeshua is the Moshiach of whom our navigators wrote. The eye is the royal Malik of Israel. His mother Mary lives on Marian Way." The ruler breathed, "Tell him to come up to the temple, for I would hear his plea." And Cafe ran and told Yeshua what the ruler breathed. But Yeshua answered not. The eye went not to the temple. And then in the evening time came, and the ruler came up on to Marian Way, and in the home of Mary found he Yeshua and his mother all alone. And when the ruler asked for proof of his Moshiach state of Moshiach, and why the eye went not to the temple when he was bidden, Yeshua breathed, "I am not a slave to any blood of the earth. I am not called unto the ministry by priest. It is not mine to answer when blood of the earth calls. I come, the Moshiach of the great Elohim. I answer unto the great Elohim alone. Who gave you the right to ask for proof of my state of Moshiach? My proof lies in my shavors and in my work. And so, if you will follow me, you will not lack for proof." And then the ruler went his way, and the eye asked himself, "What manner of blood of the earth is this to disregard the ruler of the temple?" The people of the town came out in throngs to see the Moshiach and hear him spark. But Yeshua breathed, "A navigator has no honor in his native town among his kin. I will not spark in Nazareth until the shavors I spark and works I do in other towns have won the victory of light of blood of the earth. Until blood of the earth know that the great Elohim has sorry, please help me."
Yes.
Verse 13.
Okay, until blood of the earth know that, until blood of the earth recognize that Yahweh, who is the great Elohim, has anointed me to reveal the eternal Chavain love. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I know you're going to have fun with that one.
Dankeschön. Goodwill to you. That was also false. I remember.
Perfect.
Perfect will to you, my kin. I enlighten you with a boundless love, and I breathe for you abundant enlightenment and happiness. The eye breathed no more, and all the people marveled much, because the eye would not breathe in Nazareth. Chapter 17. In Cana in Galilee, there was a marriage feast, and Mary and her sister Miriam and Yeshua and his 6 truth seekers were among the guests. The ruler of the feast had heard that Yeshua was a mother star sent from the great Elohim, and the eye requested him to spark. And Yeshua breathed, "There is no tie more sacred than the marriage tie. The chain that binds 2 souls in love is made in the throne of the sun, and blood of the earth can never sever it in twain. The lower passions of the twain may cause the union of the twain, a union as when oil and water meet, and then a priest may forge a chain and bind the twain. This is not marriage genuine. It is a counterfeit. The twain are guilty of adultery. The priest is party to the crime." And that was all that Yeshua breathed. And Yeshua stood apart in silent thought. His mother came and breathed to him, "The wine has failed. What shall we do?" And Yeshua breathed, I ask you, what is wine? It is but water with the flavoring of grapes. And what are grapes? They are but certain kinds of thought made manifest, and I can manifest that thought, and water will be wine. And the eye called the servants, and the eye breathed to them, "Bring in 6 water pots of stone, a pot for each of these, my followers, and fill them up with water to the brims." The servants brought the water pots and filled them to their brims. And Yeshua, with a mighty thought, stirred up the ethers till they reached the manifest. And it is true throughout all time, the waters blushed and turned to wine. The servants took the wine and gave it to the ruler of the feast, who called the bridegroom in and breathed to him, "This wine is best of all. Most people, when they give a feast, bring in the best wine first, but you have reserved the best until last." And when the ruler and the guests were told that Yeshua, by the power of thought, had turned the water into wine, they were amazed. They breathed, "This blood of the earth is more than blood of the earth. The eye surely is an anointed one who navigators of the olden times declared he would come." And many of the guests knew and gladly will have followed him, knew him and gladly would have followed him. Chapter 71. The city of Capernaum was by the Sea of Galilee, and Kepha's home was there. The homes of Andrew, Yalganun, and Bosheth was near. These blood of the earth were fishermen, and must return to tend their nets, and they prevailed on Yeshua and his mother to accompany them. And soon with Philip and Nathanael they were resting by the sea in Kepha's home. The news spread through the city and along the shore that Judah's royal Malik had come, and multitudes drew near to press his hand. And Yeshua breathed, "I cannot show the royal Malik unless you see with eyes of the shoal, because the royal domain of the royal Malik is in the shoal, and every shoal is royal domain. There is a royal Malik for every blood of the earth. This king and this royal Malik is love. And when this love becomes the greatest power in life, it is the Moshiach. So Moshiach is royal Malik. And everyone may have this Moshiach dwell in his soul, and Moshiach dwells in my soul. The body is the temple of the royal Malik, and blood of the earth may call an anointed blood of the earth a royal Malik. The eye who will cleanse his mortal form and make it pure, so pure that love and perfection of light may dwell on solid side by side within its walls, is royal Malik. The kings of the earth are clothed in royal robes and sit in state that blood of the earth may stand in awe of them. But a royal Malik of the throne of the sun may wear a fisher's garb, may sit in marts of trade, may till the soil, or be a gleaner in the field, may be a slave in mortal chains. He may be adjusted a criminal by blood of the earth. He may languish in a prison cell, may die upon a cross, blood of the earth seldom see what others truly are. The human senses sense what seems to be, and that which seems to be and that which is may be diverse in every way. The carnal blood of the earth beholds the outer blood of the earth, which is the temple of the royal Malik, and worships at his shrine. The temple. The blood of the earth of the great Elohim is pure in heart. The eye sees the royal Malik. The eye sees with eyes of the soul. And when the eye rises to the plane of Moshiach consciousness, the eye knows that he himself is the royal Malik. He is love, is Moshiach, and so is seed of the sun. You blood of the earth of Galilee, prepare to meet your royal Malik. And Yeshua taught the people many lessons, and the eye walked with them beside the sea.
Right.
And there be light.
Right. And so interesting that now when I'm reading it, I'm getting a different picture. So 15, just to back up real quick. So when it says the blood of the earth of Yahweh, who is the great Elohim, is pure in heart. He says the royal Malik. The eye says with the A of the shul. You see, we're literally writing now in the most primitive form of the original Aramaic. It's a mind blower. And then the very last verse.
Yeah.
And as Yeshua or Yashulamva in the most primitive, Yashulamva plowed and planted seed. That's taught. Well, plowed and planted say the people many lessons as the eye walked with them beside the say. So there, I'm I'm astonished because that was one that really puzzled me. Is what was the original? I knew SE would be the most primitive parent root, but the E was the corruption. As I say, the I and the E, and once we put it back with the A, then I saw the word the I. Of course, it's what the seed is at the beginning, the first atom, the letter A, atom. You know, and that's where it's always at the beginning. So, so absolutely, thank you for this group participation here. Miu was really on it today. She's always on it, I think, and so we're just seeing and reading it for ourselves right here for the first time, ladies and gentlemen. What is the Indo-Germanic? There's the word germ for seed, Germanic, Aramaic mother tongue, and we're speaking a corrupted form of Aramaic, and it goes back to that image, the chimera, not chimera, but the chimera, and it's that the beast symbol, which chimera backwards is Aramaic. The anagram is Aramaic. So they used Aramaic. It is their mother tongue. And so when they gave us Pig Latin, the corrupted form of what we speak, we're speaking a corrupted form of Aramaic. And that's the only reason that I have the ability, through the grace of Yeshua, to reconstruct it and to go back to the original root. The Kabbalists perfected our alphabet, allowing for our symbols to actually breathe the light. And, just like they tell us everything they're going to do to us, well, they also put right in our face the truth when we're not even able to see it. And that's why they had no worries about perfecting the alphabet, because they figured we'd never get it, while they embrace it as their truth. And like Yeshua said to the priesthood, you hold within your hands the keys of knowledge, but you're not going in, you're not opening the door to go in, nor are you letting anybody else go in. And so that's the great irony and the mystery of our world, the enigma, ladies and gentlemen. But you got it here first. I got it here first today, finally, for the first time. It's been happening these last few days. We're seeing and reading it in the greater light, and this is the grace of Yeshua shining down upon us. So, Yah love, thank you so much for great read today. And when we start, perhaps tomorrow, when you are available, we know that you may not be, section 15, Shamak, the first annual epic of the Mashiach game, anointed little star ministry of Yeshua. That'll be chapter 72. So, okay, just great to have you, and thank you so much for your participation. I know people are enjoying your work that you're doing.
Yeah, very much. Thank you. See you in the chat.
All right, see you back in the chat. And I'm going to go to a song. I got to set up my easel with the books, and we're going back into Genesis, okay? And we're going to pick it up in chapter 2. So get your books ready. And I made no preparation. I'm doing this off the cuff on a wing and a prayer because I've been preparing all my life, and I know what we've got there, and I'm going to share it with you. So don't go away. We'll be right back. And thank you, Mimio, as well. And you are tuned in right here to the RealPublicRadio.net, Free America Radio Network, the Forbidden History Series, what they didn't want you to know, but we tell right here. Welcome back to the broadcast, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, the Desert Owl, a bird who sees in the night, and I see too much, but that's okay. I'd rather know the truth. No, I don't care how bad it is. Just give me the truth, and then I'll learn how to deal with it, because I certainly couldn't deal with it if I didn't know the score. And so hope I've got a good audio coming in. I think I do. I've got raised my mic up higher, so I got my easel with my Septuagint, the first transliteration ever coming out of the Hebrew in Alexandria, Egypt, 300 BC, the Koine Greek. Then I've got the Yiddish Hebrew by the most important translator of all time, 1905, Frau Fenton. And then I've got from the Syriac, actually the Aramaic, the Eastern Aramaic, the most original and primitive. And in 2,000 years, they're still speaking the very Shavors of Yeshua by George Lamsa, 1933. And then I've got good old King James, the guy that they love to hate, and they cut off his son's head, make sure they put his lamp out because he was a pure occultist, a Freemason, wrote the Book of Beasts before he wrote the King James, so go figure, okay? Okay, Ash, we'll see you. Hurry up. And so we're in chapter 2, and I'm going to read the King James the way it is, and then I will give the transliteration because it is a code book, and we have to read the code in order to get the picture. Okay, so it's taken a lifetime to unfold. When you got a bunch of people lying to you, you never immediately, unless you know somebody well enough, then maybe you can immediately know when you're being lied to. But very often it takes a long time to find out we've been lied to and how they lied and what's the lie all about, why they got to lie. They got a problem. What's their problem? And but then when we're talking about a science of diction, and it's the foundation of all things in life, right? So here we are, chapter 2. And so thus is this is how. Typically it can be just this is how. This is how it says heavens, but it would be the sun, earth, and moon, and the stars were finished. Okay? This is how the sun, earth, and moon, heaven is a code. Okay? And on the seventh diel, the seventh day, God ended his work, which he had made, and rested on the seventh day from all his work which he had made. And of course, if they're referring to God as Elohim, so it's actually feminine, and so it's female from that aspect. But we can also include the duality because it is a duality. So it'd be if we say Yahweh, the great Elohim, they took out. See, in the Northern Kingdom, they took out the word Yahweh, the sacred name, because the Northern Kingdom was corrupted first. Okay, so that's where it began. So correctly, then we know that as Yeshua said, he and the Father are one. So the Father is the great Elohim, and Yeshua is the great Elohim. And so therefore Yahweh, so correctly it would be in verse 2, and on the seventh day, the great Yahweh, who is the great Elohim, ended their works, would be the best way to say it. But if it's just great Elohim, okay, we could say ended his work, which he had made, which the eye had made. He is the eye, and rested on the seventh diel from all of his work which he had made. 3, and God blessed and the seventh day and sanctified it, because that in it he had rested from all his work which he had created and made. And so 3 again, and the great Elohim, not blessed, but if it's the direct transitional thought, it is Baruch, Baruchet, made born of the endowment and the enlightenment, with the mind's eye for seeing in the night, that day, and sanctified it, because that in it he had rested from all his work, which the great Elohim had made. Now, what did Yeshua say? That we had, when we are buried in him, that we have, yeah, Mew can call in if she wants to call in. Absolutely. And so the seventh day, and what did Yeshua say? He said, if you come into me, then you have ceased from your own works, and it is now I who do the work. Okay, so it's the same parallel. Physical creation, he ceased from his work, and then in the spiritual creation, we cease from our work, because Yeshua does it all. He doesn't need anybody. All power, all power, all power was given unto him. He had all power from the beginning, because he's the one who made all things. It's the great mystery. We have to re-add the riddle, because they never told it to us straight, and that's why we're so often confused and sort of like in left field, almost there but not quite there in figuring it out. We have to get the center point. Okay, and so he rested. So and these words can be looked up, like rest, and every word has to be looked at, but the bigger ones, the most important descriptive terms, we're looking at. So looks like we may have a caller. I'm not sure. Everybody's talking over there on the board about a call. Somebody calling in? I'd love to get a call, okay? So what's holding you back other than gravity? Pick up that phone if you're calling in. All right, and we're verse 4. These are the generations of the sun, and now, so to speak, the sun, moon, and earth. But it says heavens and the earth. But we don't have that, original word, and I didn't go, like I say, go into Strong's. I'll probably check this out tomorrow. I'm going to underline that and check it out. Okay. We got a caller. Wonder who it is. And it's Mew Mew from the lower part of the Caribbean. How are you doing?
Good morning. How are you?
Well, I guess you know how I'm doing, right?
Yes. Absolutely brilliant. Can you hear me okay? You sound a bit distant.
Okay, how about I'm sounding distant right now?
Okay, yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
Better, a little bit better. Okay, the reason I know you've got lots to get through today, so I don't want to take up much time. It was when Yah was reading, and something hit me after we did the say and the see. When she reads Royal Domain, you, I think, have said that this is the center of the light, the center of the soul, the center point. And I've been mulling over this for days, and it just hit me this morning. We were talking about Gar, as in garden, the other day, and if you remember a long time ago, we were talking about the O and Om, and it just hit me because here we say Ogar, which means home, which means the home. And I suddenly thought, well, maybe it's not domain, maybe it's the royal home, the garden, Ogar, the center garden.
Yeah. So Oga.
Ogar is home, which is home, like which is with the silent H. We don't pronounce the H.
Yeah.
So it would be like home, or Ogar. It doesn't matter if you say it in English or Spanish. It still has the O, the circular O, and the M for the Om, and the Ga for garden.
Right, and of course the Ga the two primary letters are the symbol of the sun. The G and the A are the primary symbols of the sun, and so O means true, perfect, and complete. So it means the true
garden, the true home of
the true Ga, and that's probably where they get the word God from. They corrupted it into God. They put a D on it and corrupted it with the D because it's a symbol of darkness and death and destruction. And so
exactly.
Yeah, so there's something to what you're talking about. I realized I don't have a Spanish dictionary. Well, I do have a supplemental one, but I need to get a better Spanish dictionary. And I got a French on my list because I lost a lot of my books way back when, after my divorce. So I've got some dictionaries to recover because I'm realizing I'm missing a few pieces of the puzzle by not having those dictionaries.
Yeah, but you see where I'm coming from. I know what you're saying about center, it being the center, but I think home, to me, okay, from my perspective, home makes more sense. The royal home rather than.
Well, that word is found in the terminology of kingdom of heaven. Okay,
yeah.
but everything has a different aspect, and I'm also doing it with the symbol, so the symbols are dictating the terminology, but it's still, it's like what did they say, one half dozen of the other. It's another version of that same version. It's you're not incorrect. You are correct in that sense, right?
Okay. So when she says royal domain, she's talking about heaven, not the soul.
The royal domain. The royal.
Sorry, I misunderstood.
The royal domain is everywhere. You see? He is sovereign of all things, and he's everywhere, right?
Right.
So he's in the throne of the Son. His Spirit is in the throne of the Son, and his Spirit is right down here around us, hugging us, closer to us than we are to ourselves.
But then it wouldn't be home. That would be incorrect.
Well, the home is defined as the house of the Son. The word home is actually more correct than house, because I've known that, but it's never quite fit properly in the expression. Where they say like the house of Yahweh, that type of thing, house of Yahweh. So people are using that terminology, but house is not the correct terminology. It has to have the om in it. So it is the om. The H is the breath. So H is the, and it's the om. It's the place of the sound. It means the place of the place of this place of the sound. That's what happens in a home, right? Everybody's making noise, cooking, playing, eating, right? It's the place of the sound. And so that's relative, and that's also what you get in the word atom. Is you got the creation of the sound, the atom, the atom, the creation of the sound. The at is the symbol of the alphabet, symbol of creation, and the om is symbol of the sound. It is the creation of the sound through the atom. Then the light vibration takes off, and the rest is history.
Yes, I hear you. Also, interestingly, in Spanish, we often don't have many words for the same thing, not like in English where we have lots of words for the same thing. But in Spanish, there are two words for the home, for the house. One is casa, which I've never liked, and the other is hogar, which is interesting. So it just hit me today. I can't remember exactly where it was, but Yah was talking about looking through the eyes, looking with the eyes of the shore, and it just hit me. I just thought maybe it's not domain as in place. It's something that's closer to the heart. That's why I wanted to call in.
Okay. Well, what you just said in the word casa, which means home in Spanish, actually is abbreviated. It is what I have now clearly discovered today in the primal root is the kase, and the kase means the ka is the is like the fire, and the cha, and so it is the fire of the seed, or it is the ka means the place of the seed, and so the seed. What's the place of the seed? Well, the seed of the father, the seed of the mother cooking in the kitchen, the place of the sea. Mean where you do all of your activities. You're looking, So there it is in kase. It's not casa. It's kase in the original thought. You see?
Yes.
It's right there.
That's mind blowing. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah,
I have problems with Spanish because with the E, of course, we pronounce it A, and with the A, we pronounce it E, so it gets very confusing.
Right. Well. See, one word is they got us locked in a narrow view. In other words, they got us on the left hemisphere with the word, so we don't see it in an elusive, creative form. But when we put the words back into the original, we realize that they are the root of the multiple of words that came out of it. The sea, the seed, the seat, S-E-A, S-E-E, S-E-A-T, S-E-E-D. All of those words came out of say, and it was corrupted. What do we do?
Don't say see.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, but I'm having trouble talking over this pile of books in front of me, Mew. So.
Okay, no, I'll let you carry on. It was just that I wanted to add because I thought it might have some meaning.
No, you got it. You made a wonderful contribution you made today. You were inspired, and it brought forth the light that I've been wanting to see for all my life. I finally got it, and it was today. Absolutely. Thank you.
Today say, well, the last few days it's just been amazing for me. It's incredible. I have no words to describe how I feel. It's brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
It's the light of the Father. Light of the Father.
Thank you very much, and thank you everybody. And I'll come back to the chat now.
All right. You have a great day, Mimi. Okay, and thank you for your call.
Thank you. Thank you.
Peace and love.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Thanks, bye.
All right. That was Mimi. I had to stand up while I was talking because I got my easel with all my books standing up in front of it, and it was a little hard to talk over all that. So, but anyway, that was good to have a call, and she's with us on every program and has been following the original thought, and she's getting it. It's really fantastic to have friends who are getting the picture, and I hope this thing doesn't fall now. Jeez. Hang on. I got to make an adjustment here. Hang on. Just to play it safe. Just to play it safe here. Okay, I think that's a better deal. Okay, and so we're back at the book of Genesis, and we're in chapter 2, and we're on now verse 4. And these are the generations of the heavens and of the earth when they were created, and in the day that the Lord God made heaven and earth and the heavens. And by the way, in chapter 2, we're in what's now called the J text, which is a corruption because J didn't come around up until about 200 years ago. So it is correctly the Yahwistic text. That's what it should be called. But those Jews who did a translation of the J text don't like Yahweh. The Jewish Khazars, the pseudo-Israel, they actually hate Yahweh because they're occultists and they're pretending, to be Israel, but they are really following Shivaism and the Hindu gods and the Babylonian Talmud. So anyway, that's why now in chapter 2 we see not God, but we see Lord God, and Lord God is which in the literal sense means it's an expression. It's not two Middle English words, Lord God. It is Yahweh, who is the great Elohim. And what is the Elohim but the perfect and complete love of the one of the many? It's his love that he's bringing forth. He wants a people who will be of a pure heart and mind. And thank you for stopping by, Diane. Good to have you today. Thank you. And so it is the great Elohim. So verse 4, to read it correctly now, these are the generations, or it could be also this is the generation, because it's coming forth as it's generating. It's continuing to generate. It never stops generating. It's a generator. The earth is a generator. The sun is a generator. And I think the moon might be considered like the electron because it pulls on the earth. Okay, so verse 4 again. These are the generations of the sun, earth, and moon, and the stars when they were created in the day or in the Dayel. That's what it would be, the Dayel, or the Yoam. The Yoam is another the light of the sun, or the sound of the creation, that Yahweh, who is the great Elohim, made the earth and the cosmos. 5, and I'll read King James again. And every plant of the field before it was in the earth, and every herb of the field before it grew, for Yahweh, who is the great Elohim, had not caused it to rain upon the earth, and there was not a blood of the earth to till the ground. A creation. Blood of the earth, man. Another term would be creation. Creation, also known as Adam. There was not a creation, Adam, to till the earth. I just need to bounce my chair up so I can talk better. Hang on. Oh, that's better. Oh, yeah. Okay, so all right, so I'm going to now transliterate. And every plant of the field before it was in the earth, and every herb of the field before it grew. You see, you can tell something's missing here because it's an incomplete thought. But I'm going to try to back up and see if the verse ahead of it rolls properly into it. And he created in the day that Yahweh, who is the great Elohim, made the earth and the cosmos and every plant of the field. Yeah, oh, that's what we read in Philo, right? It said that he had already made everything prior to it being made. That's what we read yesterday in Philo. So now it makes sense. And so he made every plant of the field before it was in the earth. In other words, it was designed, pre-designed, good to go. And it was just about coming forth, the manifestations of creation coming forth. And every herb of the field before it grew. For Yahweh, who is the great Elohim, had not caused it to rain upon the earth yet, and there was not a blood of the earth to till the ground. So it was so primitive that rain had not come upon the ground. The water separated. If we back up to the previous chapter, it said the water separated, and the water was in its place, and the land was in its place. Okay, so we have water and earth, water and matter. There's your duality, matter, water. Just flip over to M, and you get water. Flip over to W, you get matter. So they're like twins, right? But one is upside down or opposite of the other, liquid versus solid. Okay, and water versus matter. Those are the correct terms. And not, what they want to say, earth and water, but it's matter. Matter, meaning material creation. Okay, and 5, and, okay, 6, but there went up. Okay, so now here's the code. Get ready, because it says, but there went up, so there went, now remember the ground is here, and there went up, and the oceans were already formed, and so atmosphere is already being created, but it hadn't rained yet, but the atmosphere is developing. The Shekinah is there, the upper atmosphere, what that divided the cosmic sea from the lower sea was here. The atmosphere, the outmost sphere. Oh, it's called a sphere. The outmost sphere, meaning round, right? And there went up a mist from the earth, and it says watered, but that's the corruption, or it's the intentional code, because it didn't water the earth, it covered the earth from the whole face of the ground. Because it is now. If we mist, I looked up in the Oxford, and it means mystery. Okay, mist is mystery, and when I looked it up in in Philo, he said a fountain gushed forth, and let's look at what it says in the Aramaic. In Lamsa, it says a powerful fountain, a powerful fountain gushed out upon the earth. Okay? And what is that powerful fountain? Do you think that maybe there were volcanoes back then? Absolutely. And, even in the Native American tradition, they said that the first man was called Blood Clot Boy. Blood Clot. They're preserving the original story in their oral tradition, the blood clot. Okay? Because that's why Adam, you hear the word dam, Adam, because a dam is a buildup of the earth, right? A buildup of the earth. The Adam, meaning that, it is the first. What is the first? It is the magma. That's what formed the land, the coming forth. And so this is where they tricked us, because this is what it should say, dear friends, okay? It should say in verse 6, but there went up a powerful fountain, and literally it should say it, a volcano, a powerful fountain, a volcano from the earth, and it covered the entire face of the ground. We just saw that in Hawaii, right? I mean, it covered the entire face of the ground. And so what happened with all of this magma that was flowing onto the ground? Verse 7, and Yahweh, who is the great Elohim, formed blood of the earth of the dust of the ground. Okay, it was Elohim, though, that did it, and not Yahweh. A powerful distinction, because it's Yahweh who created the first atom, the perfect man. But the second Adam, A-D-O-M, is is going to be a type of Yeshua, but he's going to fall, where Yeshua does not fall at the end of time, but gives us victory of light. So back in so 7 again, and so Yahweh, who is the great Elohim, and so it's the great Elohim who formed blood of the earth, of the fiery magma, not the dust, not the dirt, but the mineral, the purified salts and minerals of the earth, because we're made from the breast of the mother. We came out from the mother, from deep within her heart, and therefore, and then breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and blood of the earth became a living shul, a living serpent, and an owl, meaning a conscious entity and a flesh, a body of flesh. But the mind is separate from the body in its nature, though they are co-joined in this great odyssey. And so there's a lot left out of the story there, and they probably removed some of that part. Okay, but we'll continue here. And so and so 8, verse 8, and the Lord God planted a garden. Now get this, okay? He planted the garden in the east, in Eden, and what this really is and Yahweh, who created the great Elohim, who is the great Elohim, planted a garden, and that would be ganun. A ganun, that's the same word we use for cannon. Cannon is the big gun, okay? And what is the big gun in our solar system but the sun itself? At high noon, the ganun, the G is the symbol of the sun, the A is the symbol of the sun, and N, the letter N, is the symbol of that which came down. The ganun, what is coming down? The light creation comes down. And it says that Yahweh, who is the great Elohim, planted a ganun in the east, in the atom, not in Eden, but that's the corruption, that's the code. So we'll never get the picture. In the atom, the great atom is the ganun, the great garden, and there he put the man who he had formed before anything was formed on the earth, on the land. It had not even rained yet. He formed the atom, A-D-O-M, atom, A-D-A-M. A and O are one symbol together. The O was under the A, the compass. Okay? And he placed him up in the atom, into the throne of the sun, and therefore made him incorporeal, in the sense that he had he was with the Spirit. He was with the Spirit, okay? And so that's why he could be up there for the millions of years while creation is unfolding on earth, because we know it took millions of years. That would have been the last period, what we might call the 6th day, okay? And so you got to stay with me, because with this goes further. I think I'm going to stop it right here, because I've got the rest of the program here to let me think. Let me see here. Okay. Well, let me go a little further. I'm going to go a little further. Hang on. Okay. And so we placed him in the atom, and there he put the blood of the earth who he had formed. So now he's up there with Yeshua in the throne of the sun while they're creating. You got to remember, just because we get all these scientific pictures now of the sun, we look at it through telescopes and those electronic scopes and everything. We're looking at it like, a biological creation, but we have to see it from its mystical side, that how did the primitives look at it? Primitives never saw one of the pictures we see, of the microscope, of the electronic microscopes from NASA and all the satellites. They didn't see that. They just looked up in the sky and they saw a yellow flower that was so bright they couldn't look at it. And they recognized that all life came from out of the sun, the soul, from the soul, you see? And so it's the great atom. They knew that all of the atoms came out, even the planets and the moons came out from the sun. It is the mother star. And so Adam is going up there, and let's see what happens. In verse 9, and out of the ground, so out, and it should not be and, but so out of the ground, the Yahweh, who is the great Elohim, made also to grow every tree that is pleasant to the sight and good for food, and the tree of life also in the center of the garden. Okay? The tree of life is the sun. Why? Because it's in the center. What's in the center? It is a solar center, a solar system. Okay? So they're pointing up now, the tree. So when it's talking about every tree, and then it makes reference to the greatest tree, the tree of life, also at the center of the Ganon. Okay? That's why Adam could live, because he was in the tree of life, the sun. Okay? And the tree of knowledge, also of good and evil, of not good and evil, of light and darkness. So let there be light. He's in the light. He's in the light. Okay? Verse 10. And a river flowed out from the atom. Okay? A river flowed out from the atom to water the Ganun, to water the garden. And from there it was parted and went into 4 heads. Well, let's read it correctly. And a river of light flowed from out of the atom to water the Ganun, the light that comes down. Ganun is the light that comes down. It's at perpetual high noon, no matter where it is on the earth, because it is always shining, it is always flowing, it is always charging the Mother Earth. Okay? And so the river of light came out from the Ganun, the atom, and it was parted and went into the 4 directions. It went into the 4 directions, north, south, east, and west. There was no part of the earth that did not get the flowing of the river of light. You have to see and read it the way the primitive would have seen it and read it, not the way you've been taught it by the Jesuits. Of course, because the bottom line is, okay, it's coming up. And I want to stop here. I think this is a good cliffhanger, because I feel I'm getting talked out here and I'm running out of time. So I want to take it piece by piece. We need to eat just a little bit at a time here. And okay, so that's where I'm going to stop. And I'll just do a recap tomorrow then on that, all right? Because we cover a lot of ground here, but that's a lot to digest. But remember, that is where the swastika comes from. The swastika, okay? It is the symbol of the light particle falling down, and it is a symbol of the 4 directions, right? The light spinning into the 4 directions. That's classic even for Native American tradition. When they made their pottery, they put the swastika on their pottery in Native America. It was a symbol of peace. It still is a symbol of peace and a symbol of light. And the swastika is found on the 3 volumes of the Vedas. Okay? On the 3 volumes of the Vedas is the swastika. It is the symbol of light coming down from the sun. It is the fan. That's where I said sharfan is the original word for the sun. Well, the fan is the power of the light particle spinning. That's the fan. The sharfan is the serpent. It is the great serpent. It is the cobra. It is cobra meaning my supporting brother, my supporting power. My supporting power. We can't live without the sun, right? Cannot. You're seeing it, Ash. Way to go. Glad you got it, okay? It's a miracle because nobody's telling us. You're only going to get it here. I'm sure somebody's talking about it somewhere, but we don't know them. But this is the light that comes down from the sun, from the great atom, the garden of atoms. Tell me it's not a garden of atoms. Of course it is. It's the center point of creation. Where else would the spirit be represented other than at the center of all creation, the solar system. You see? So let me move all these books off my desk and we'll get back and finish the program here. And bra for support, right. And I'll be right back. Don't go away. You can't go away. Unless you're crazy, because I'm not crazy. They're crazy, all right? Be crazy not to want to hear the truth from the tree's root, from the tree of life, from the tree of light, from the solar tree, the great logo, the symbol up in the sky that we can't live a moment without, or we're dead. Because one thing you'll notice is if you read further on your own, it says that he was taken out of the atom, out of Eden, and placed in the garden. And that's when he fell asleep. And when he woke up, he saw his other half. He was a divided creature. That's a clue that we're going to go to tomorrow, okay? He was taken out of the atom and placed in the garden after he named all things. And that's there as well. So you want to read ahead? You know the story. See if you don't see and read it for yourself. I'll give you the picture tomorrow. I'm excited, you know. I'm excited to know what no one else is saying. That's what I call the unspoken word. That's the name of the publishing company that I always wanted to produce these books in. It's called the unspoken word. What nobody else is speaking. But you get it right here, ladies and gentlemen, on therealpublicradio.net. They want to kill us. Yeshua wants to love us to life. Germ is seed, G-E-R-M. And when you read it backwards, you get merge. The germ, the seed merges. You see? Right there is the word. You're welcome, Mew Mew. Thank you. Hanging out with all these cool cats. So I think we need to read about those Jesuits. On the realpublicradio.net, Free America Radio Network. Hope you're telling your friends, ladies and gentlemen. The time is short. We got a long way to go. I'm going to open up my curtains here. I see we got some rain coming. Wonderful break. I'm sure it'll be totally filled with toxins and poisons. At least I can open my blinds now. Got a little bit of a chance to do that. I get this sun reflecting off the house across the street. I get that second level of solar radiation coming through off the white paint on that house over there. So I can't even look out anymore because it's so bright, you know. Yeah, we're in trouble in our world. You know, this world's over, okay? It's done. It's toast. It's finito, right? You know it. And you know, the older you get, you realize you're not going to be here much longer anyway. It's a miracle, you know, when so many people fall victim to tragedy and these tragic events. You know, they didn't have time to figure it out. They didn't know their days are going to be cut short. And all we got, you know, our whole primary mission, the objective is to wake up to who we really are in this cosmic dream. We're not of this world. I got to put the mic back. I'm sorry. I'm probably getting too loud in there now. Let me put it back and readjust my setup here. It's very state of the art. Yeah, you ought to see it. Okay, so now we're with the Jesuit Oath. I thought you'd want to hear this one. The Jesuit Oath, the Extreme Oath and Induction of the Society of Jesus. Just a wonderful group of people. Just want to love you to death. Society of Jesus. Sounds so nice. When a Jesuit of a minor rank is to be elevated to command, he is conducted into the chapel of the covenant of the order. It's interesting how order sounds like odor. Where there are only 3 others present, the principal or superior standing in front of the altar. On either side stands a monk, one of whom holds a banner of yellow and white, which are the papal colors, and the other a black banner with a dagger and red cross. Oh, the red cross, could it be Knights Templars that the Jesuits were, when they were supposedly annihilated? Maybe they just killed the friends they didn't like, but then they just morphed into the Jesuits. I think it could be. Okay. With a banner with a dagger and a red cross above the skull and crossbones. Oh, my. So the Jesuits are running the Brotherhood of Death then out of Germany as well, right? Skull and bones. With the word INRI in the capital letters, INRI, INRI, the anagram, and below them the words Justum. That sounds like if we change it to a J, Justum. That's probably their word for justice. Justum, Necar, Regis, Impius. So Regis is royal and Impius is imperial. Necar sounds like nectar. I'm just, looking at it without moving forward here. Let's see what it says. The meaning of which is, it is just to extract. Oh, jeez. Yeah, they want to pull the nectar right out of your body. That's what it is. The meaning of which is just to exterminate or annihilate impious or heretical kings, governments, or rulers. Okay, so I'd have to look up the Latin, I guess, to get the way to say it. But yeah. So justum necar regis impius. The meaning of which is, it is just, or not, meaning it is right to exterminate or annihilate impure or heretical kings, governments, or rulers. We should include sheeple here, I guess. Upon the floor is a red cross at which the postulant or candidate kneels. And of course, the red cross, that's where all the Jesuits are working on science in the scientific programs, right? They're doing all the stuff. That's where they created LSD. That's where they created the first email. That's where they, are running the crop circles from. That's where they manage protecting the Vatican, right? All out of Switzerland. The Swaze, de Chavet, the royal way, the land of the royal way. That's the Chavet land. Okay, Switzerland. Listen to one of the back programs. Start from the beginning. Okay, so the superior. Okay, so kings and governments and all that. The superior then, is to kill the governments and rulers of the land. And upon the floor is a red cross at which the postulant or candidate kneels. The superior hands him a small black crucifix, which he takes in his left hand and presses it to his heart. And the superior at the same time presents to him a dagger, which he grasps by the blade and holds the point against his heart, I guess with his right hand. The superior still holds it by the hilt and thus addresses the postulant. The superior speaks, "My son, heretofore you have been taught to act the dissembler among the Roman Catholics, to be a Roman Catholic, and to be a spy even among your own brothers, to believe no man, to trust no man, among the reformers, to be a reformer, among the Huguenots, to be a Huguenot, among the Calvinists, to be a Calvinist, among the Protestants, generally to be a Protestant, and obtaining their confidence to seek even to preach from their pulpits, their bullpit, and to denounce with all the vehemence in your nature our holy religion and the Pope." Okay, to denounce, in other words, to put down, in other words, put on the act. Yeah, you hate the Pope, yeah. And even to descend so low as to become a Jew among Jews. Well, there you go. That's the lowest of the low, right? That's another version of Goyim then, I guess. They don't even like the Jews who, are being used as well, of course. They were very useful, and that's why they set them up as banking. Okay, that you, even as low as to become a Jew among the Jews, that you might be enabled to gather together all information for the benefit of your order as a faithful soldier of the Pope, the Papa. If you have been taught to plant insidiously the seeds of jealousy and hatred between communities, men against women, blacks against white, young against old, rich against poor, between the communities, provinces, states that were at peace, and to incite them to actions of blood involving them in war with each or other, and to create revolutions and civil war in countries that were independent and prosperous, cultivating the arts and the sciences and enjoying the blessings of peace, to take sides with the combatants and to act secretly with your brother Jesuit, who might be engaged on the other side but openly opposed to that which you might be connected, only that the church might be the gainer in the end, in the conditions fixed in the treaties for peace, and that the end justifies the means. You have been taught your duty as a spy to gather all statistics, facts, and information in your power from every source, to ingratiate yourself into the confidence of the family circle of Protestants and heretics of every class and character, as well as that of the merchant, the banker, the lawyer, among the schools and universities, in parliaments and legislatures, and the judiciaries and councils of state, and to be all things to all men, for the Pope's sake, whose serpent we are unto death. You have received all your instructions heretofore as a novice, a neophyte, and have served as a coadjutor, confessor, and priest, but you have not yet been invested with all that is necessary to command the army of Loyola in the service of the Pope, aka God. You must serve the proper time as the instrument and executioner as directed by your superiors. For none can command here who has not consecrated his labors with the blood of the heretic. For without the shedding of blood, no man can be saved. Therefore, to fit yourself for your work and make your own salvation sure, you will, in addition to your former oath of obedience to your order and allegiance to the Pope, repeat after me. And then, and this is where it ends. Do a Google search for oath if you want to know the rest of the story, dear friends. See Black Pope, and then right under there we've got Jihad, Islam, Wars on Mankind. See Freemasonry, Islam, Muslim, Nebraska, Vatican, Hindu, War on Mankind. And yeah, it's just a wonderful world, ladies and gentlemen, that we have here. And so that's why we've got Georgetown University right there next to Washington, D.C., and all the Jesuits coming out with their marching orders, like radio host G. Gordon Liddy. Most people don't know unless they saw It's a Rich Man's Game, this wonderful expose on how Kennedy was really shot. And and G. Gordon Liddy was the one who killed the police officer, had to execute him because he looked like JFK, and they were going to use his body as a switch out with Kennedy's body. Good morning, Hans. Good to have you. And so anyway, ladies and gentlemen, it is a psychopathic world of utter darkness. These are the ones who've been running our world. They're working for, we should say, the culture that is been running the world from the beginning of time, the Vekaresh, the Watchers. And so they'll use anybody. So even though it's an Aryan culture at its core, they use the yellow, the black, the brown, or even aliens. They like to use the green, the blue, and the red. Okay, as well. So I'm being facetious there, but they've done a good job because Aryan is actually alien. Just switch out the magic letters L and R, you get Aryan or alien. Which do you prefer? Because they're the ones flying the anti-gravity craft. They're the ones who have all the technology and create our ideas and our thinking for us in the movies and in television. Go to sleep. Go to sleep. We will do your thinking for you. So now we're in the piracy of words, and the words that they killed us with, or the words that they killed, one or the other or both. And so we've got Batman. Batman in ancient India. They were the only ones allowed to unload the caravans because they kept its secrets. They received special payments and privileges for the service for their services. Today they are known as the police. Okay, with the baton, Batmen. But not all of them are sellouts. Not that it will do us any good. See the movie Batman, in which he represents a Jesuit who first has his face has to face his fears. Notice that the plot actually begins in Tibet, in northern India, right? There's your Batman. He gets initiated into the ancient cult of the Aryan Watchers in northern Tibet. He becomes a ninja, so to speak, right? And so they're telling you in the movies that it's an ancient cult. And the Batman goes all the way back to India. And so that's where they start the movie, because that's where it all began. And the Batman back then didn't have a gun. He just had a bat. He'll beat you over the head if you get too close and look inside that bag, which is secret, because they went around the world in their caravans, and they brought back many of the treasures and secrets of the world. They were always in control. They were the first trucking company, you might say, okay, going around the Silk Road. They created the Silk Road and got those things going from the beginning. The Hegelian dialectic, okay, one, government creates, agents complain, governments will provide. Okay, let me try this again. Okay, here, I'm trying to read my notes here. Okay, Hegelian dialectic. The government creates a problem. That's the thesis. The agents complain. Hey, we got a problem here. That's the reaction, the antithesis. And then the governments then will provide the solution. That's the synthesis. They'll say, hey, we got a problem. We got to fix it. And they created the problem in the beginning. It's the greatest show on earth, ladies and gentlemen, the greatest show on earth. And okay, Ninja Desert still is not there. Can you help him so we don't need to use email? I'm sorry, I don't know what that's all about. Look, if you're all trying to do something, call me on the side. I don't get what you're all trying to work out. And you said yesterday something about a moderator. Just call me on the phone, okay? I can't figure out the code on the chat room there, okay? So nation, cyber code for on the Hegelian dialectic, yeah, that's generally how the game is played. Also called problem, reaction, solution. Okay, nation, cyber code for nations, nation, nazion. There's nation is nazion. I actually forgot that. There's so many things that come to the table and I see, and then I actually forget, and I gotta take note of that. The nazion is the Zion that came down. Of course, that is the nation meaning. The nazion, the Zion. It's what Zion? Their Zion. World domination. World domination. You see, world domination. And so that's their Zionism, and so there's more that can be said about that, but that's an important element right there, okay? So the Zion that has come down from the ancient time, so I was talking about, like in the Batman, it is underground. See the Matrix, Constantine, Nazi, in neighborhoods near you already. Idiot. No, there's a good one. So who are the idiots, ladies and gentlemen? Let's ask the question. Who is the idiot? In Middle English, in my Middle English dictionary, it is defined as someone who does not work for the government. So if you don't work for the government, you must be an idiot, because the perks are good, ladies and gentlemen. You know, you can't get fired. You get big pay. You get federal holidays, and you get all the different perks you ever thought of. Okay, you get offers, and if you don't take the offer, you may have a tombstone placed above you. But yeah, if you're an idiot if you don't work for the government, because you then must be the goyim, because the power people work for the government. Slave. And Nazi is remove the blind eye, remove the eye, and it becomes naze. Naze. There's the AY again for the eye. And it means that's actually those are the ones who do see. The all-seeing eye. They put it on the dollar bill. The naze, that which came down from the sun with the fire and the force of the sun, which implies the force of all creation and the knowledge of all things. See, Yeshua was a Nazare healer, or a Naga healer, a Nagash, meaning serpent healer, because the serpent is the flesh. He's healing the flesh. He has the knowledge of a serpent, meaning a wise one. It's all in the word. That's how they thought back then. You know, serpents are not evil by themselves, though they could be a black serpent, and that would be an evil serpent if it's not a serpent of light. It is a historical fact that there never was a Nazareth, and that's found also in the Babylonian Talmud and in other sources. Nazareth, they created a phony Nazareth through Constantine when they decided they were going to morph themselves into a Christian religion, because they didn't want people to get to know the meaning of the Nazareth, just like Egypt is not Egypt, and it's Metzarem or Metzarem, and they didn't want us to know that word either. So the switch outs occurred, and nobody questions anything, and they just accept everything. They've been spoon-fed. Okay, so there never was a Nazareth until the New World Order pretenders created one to fix the problem. The Aryans didn't want you to know by title that Yeshua was what they are not, a true Nazareth. That means the now that came down, the star that came down with the eye. That's Yeshua, the star that came down with the eye, the Nazareth. Okay, that's why Caesar calls himself a czar, because he claims to be of the star, of the sun, the K-Zar, the fire and the light of the sun. It's in the Shavors, it's in the word, if you can get the picture. And so there you go, some burning swords of fire that they wanted to kill us with, ladies and gentlemen. And now we're in the final segment, the history of the church. I appreciate everybody hanging in there. I know we're going over a little. I want to try to keep it to 3 hours. I was starting out at 2 hours, and now we're up to 3. But that's a typical broadcast, is 3 hours. So I think we can handle that. And we do get it all recorded, so nothing lost. Okay, and hopefully something gained in the process. And so we're in the book of the history of the church by Eusebius, and it's printed by Dorset. And we're in the order of the Gospels. Okay, and I just need to do one for my throat. Stand by. Sure got a lot of kumquats on that page. I was wondering what these ladies are talking about. All right. So, the order of the star message. Gospel is star message. Remember that. And I've got to do one more thing with my hair. Hang on. And tomorrow it's going to get a little cooler, and that's going to be even better. Today's a cool down day, but tomorrow will be better. And can't wait. Cannot wait. Get a little rain going here. And I want to welcome any new listeners we have out there. And I'm so honored to have so many wonderful friends that stayed with the program. It shows that you folks, you dear friends, you really are getting it, you know. And there's so much more. It is so much deeper. People are on the surface. You know, they're staying in the bay. they stay in the shallow waters of the bay where it's safe, you know. But we have to go out there into the great deep, past the view of the shore. We have to go out and like getting lost at sea, and we have to go into the deep, the dark deep of the mystery, because that's and the great mystery then is in the deepness of the cosmos, as if, you know, going into outer space, because it's infinite. It's so infinite, and it is so fantastic, and people are just on the merry-go-round saying, Jesus loves me. Yes, I know, for the Bible tells me so, and they don't even know what the word Bible means, let alone that it, you know, what it actually says, or that is part truth and part lie, because it's been controlled by mankind, by a priesthood that literally, you know, rapes and sacrifices children on the altars, with the columns, with the twin towers. The two columns, symbols of sun and moon. Okay? Symbols rule the world. If you can't read the symbols, you're lost. You've got to read the symbols. Okay. So the order of the Gospels. So let's see what we got here. Now let me indicate the unquestioned writings. Oh, that's an interesting word, the unquestioned writings. Wow. I'm going to put that in quotes. Red quotes. I find that a rather interesting statement. We'll see where it goes. We're supposed to question, especially what we know already that's happened to our world, when it says that the Jesuit freaks, a good one, Hans. Yeah, I had some friends call me Jesus freak when I was 16 years old in school, and I really wasn't. You know, I mean, I was pretty laid back and not, you know, like some were. But anyway, where was I going with all this? Unquestioned writings. Let me move forward here. Let me now indicate the unquestioned writings of this royal Malik, apostle. Obviously, his star message, recognized as it is by all the perfect circle of the called out ones / churches in the world, must first be acknowledged, that the early fathers had good reason to assign it the 4th place. Okay, so he's talking about apparently the gospel of what we call the Gospel of John, the star message of Yalganun. Okay, that the early fathers had good reason to assign it to the 4th place after the other 3 can easily be seen. Those inspired and wonderful men, Moshiach's royal Malak, royal messengers, also interpreted but improperly as king. It has an implication, but there's only one royal ruler. Okay, so what Malik means is the messenger of the great king, or the messenger of the royal messenger of the royal Malik, the great one. Okay, so Mashiach's royal messengers had completely purified their lives and cultivated every spiritual virtue, but their speech was that of every day. Okay, so they didn't speak Hebrew. That's what he's saying here. Their speech was of the common Aramaic, known as Syriac. They spoke Syriac. I'm going to underline this every day. And the divine wonder-working power bestowed on them by the Shavor, the Savior, filled them with confidence. And having neither the ability nor the desire to present the seed plantings, the teachings of the Master, never having the ability nor the desire to present the seed plantings of the mother star with rhetorical subtlety or literary skill, they relied only on demonstrating the divine spirit working with them. They relied only on demonstrating, or the demonstration of the divine spirit working with them, and on the miraculous power of the Mashiach fully operating in them. So it was what we would call by the signs and wonders, or the signs and judgments. Thus they proclaimed the knowledge, and of course that would have been what was so powerful in them, right? They were simple people, their simplicity, and yet the power. That's the humility that we're supposed to maintain, as if we're nobody. We're nobody, and we're just here to serve. Thus they proclaimed the knowledge of the royal domain in the great house of the sun, that's kingdom of heaven, through the entire world, giving very little thought to the business of writing, Now here's a little bit of a slight art, because I know Eusebius sold out and took the writing and went under Constantine, and that was a sellout. And now he's saying that they thought little of the business of writing books. That's the lie. Okay? That's the lie right here, because they were writing all the time. And I have enough lost writings to prove it. I even have Peter's own words in his other writings that are not in our New Testament. We read those back in June when I first started, where he said, you know, he had a little library of books. And let me just underline this. Hang on. Giving very little thought. What do you think? Matthew and James and John, Methuselah and Yaakov and Yalganon, they were Levitical scribes. Levitical scribes, and apparently even Judas was a Levitical scribe. So 1/3 of them, 4 out of 12, were Levitical scribes, meaning and that's why Yochanan, John, and James went everywhere. So I don't know why Eusebius is saying that when I know better. And that's why Kefe and James and John, Peter and James and John, went with them everywhere when the others didn't, because they were the two witnesses. James and John were the two witnesses. They therefore wrote down what they saw, and because Kefe, Peter, misnomer, was going to be the head of the called out ones, then he had to be a witness to most everything. So the reason for this practice was the ever-present help of a greater superhuman ministry. We may instance Paul, who, though he surpassed all others in the marshaling of his arguments, and that's because he was raised up at the feet of Gamaliel. He studied in the schools. He knew the ancient, just like Philo, he knew the ancient thought, and he made all the connections. And he was a sincere purist, right? And so we may instance Paul, Shaul, who though he surpasses all others in marshaling of his arguments and in the abundance of his ideas, committed to writing nothing but his very short letters. And yet he had countless unutterable things to say. For he had reached the vision of the third heaven, which means the throne of the Son. We are the third away from the Son, and that is what the third heaven means. How do you think they would have talked about it back then? You see, the third sphere, or the center hub. Okay, that's the third heaven, and the light. Going to the light, the third back, and had been caught up to the divine paradise. There it is, caught up to the divine atom. That's the paradisia. That's the ganon, the garden itself, and had been privileged to give ear, to hear their words that he could not repeat. It was unspeakable, unable to repeat what he had heard. I had that similar experience when I had my vision back 20 years ago as well. And I think I shared that on the broadcast. You have to start at the beginning on June 21st, okay? When I unloaded those first 2 weeks, I spilled the beans on things nobody else is talking about. Similar experiences were enjoyed by the rest of our Savior's pupils, Shavuot's eyes, the 12 royal messengers, Malek, the 70 truth seekers, the countless others besides. Yet of them all, Methuselah, Matthew, and Yalganun alone have left us memoirs of the healer's doings. And there is a firm tradition that they took to writing of necessity. Matthew had begun. You see what what I really see here in Eusebius is that he's writing for Constantine, because they took the library over there to Constantinople. The Roman Empire split to the Eastern and Western Empire, and they're now setting up Christianity as the religious state's propaganda. Okay? And so what he's got to do is he's got to deflect us from thinking that there was a library. He's covering up on the fact that he was the librarian in Syria, in Caesarea, and that's what it looks like going on here. I'm getting it for the first time. This is a political document, Okay, and that's why there's so many things that he says at times that don't make sense. Okay, the great lie propaganda. I'm taking a note here. I guess he didn't want to get tied to the stake, you know. And so he did what he was told to do. Yet besides, okay, and there is a firm tradition that they took to writing of necessity. Took to writing of necessity. Yeshua told him to write everything down. Okay, Thomas wrote down his sayings. I mean, I'm telling you, when you collect the lost writings, you'll know, ladies and gentlemen, okay? Start collecting them. Methuselah had begun by reaching out to the creation of the Hebrews. Well, he officially wrote the last book of their scriptures. It was called the Hebrew Gospel of Matthew, the star message of Matthew. Okay, so he wrote the last official book of the Old Covenant, the Tanakh. And when he made up his mind to go to others as well, he committed his own gospel to writing in his native tongue, so that for those with whom he was no longer present, the gap left by his departure was filled by what he wrote. And when Mark and Luke had now published their gospels, well, Mark did it, way later. He did it when he was following A.50 into Rome, Peter into Rome, and he wrote down what he learned orally. He wasn't a witness to anything other than Peter, A.50. And when Mark and Luke had now published their gospels, Yochanan, we are told, who hitherto had relied entirely on the spoken word, not true. He was writing down the words of John the Baptist. I've got the evidence in the Essene Gospels. Okay? So I've got to correct this here. I can't let him get away with this, and don't know why unless he was that isolated in his own world, I just can't figure it out. Finally John Yochanan finally took to writing for the following reason. The 3 star messages or gospels already written were in general circulation, and copies had come into Yochanan's hand. He welcomed them, and we are told, and confirmed their accuracy, but remarked that the narrative only lacked the story of what Moshiach had done first of all at the beginning of his mission. This tradition is undoubtedly true. Excuse me for a moment. Okay. This tradition is undoubtedly true. Anyone can see that the 3 evangelists, star messengers, that's what evangelist means, star messengers, have recorded the doings of the Savior, the soul, the Shavor, for only 1 year, following the consignment of Yochanan, or following the consignment of John the Baptist to prison, and that they indicated this very fact at the beginning of their narrative. After the 40 days fast and the temptation that followed, Matthew shows clearly the period covered by his narrative when he breathes. Hearing that Yochanan had been arrested, he withdrew from Judah into Galilee. And the same way Mark breathes after the arrest of Yochanan, Yeshua went to Galilee. Luke as well, before the beginning of Acts of Yeshua, makes a similar observation, saying that Herod added one more to his other crimes by shutting up Yochanan in the jail. Okay, and by the way, Methuselah, who is Matthew, Methuselah, who wrote the last book of the Old Covenant, the fulfillment of the prophecies that began in Enoch and the other writings of Noah and on and on. His title is very appropriate because Methuselah means at the end of time, the healing root comes. Shalah, a shalah is a healing root. It's like a bulb of garlic, but it's another plant, a shalah, with a T, silent T after it. Shalat is how they say it. And math means truth. And it means, math means counting and time. So Methuselah, just like Methuselah was the father of Noah, and he was at the end of time there when that old world was destroyed. You had a Methuselah there at the end, and here again at the end of this age, we have a Methuselah again, meaning the end. At the end of time, the healing root comes. Okay, so Methuselah had the symbol, and he was a tax collector, right? Why? Because he was disenchanted with the phoniness and hypocrisy of the priesthood. He'd rather be an honest tax collector than a phony Levitical priest. That's Matthew. That's Methuselah. Okay? So he was an honest tax collector rather than be a hypocritical priest in a phony tradition. That's why when Yeshua walked up to him and said, "Follow me, Methuselah," he got up and left everything. You see? That's close enough, Ninja. That's about it right there. We are told then that for this reason the Malek Yalganun was urged to record in his star message the period which the earlier star messengers had passed over in silence, and the thing done during that period by the Shavor, i.e. all that happened before the Baptist imprisonment. That this is indicated first by his Shavors, his words, "Thus did Yeshua begin his miracles," and later by his mentioning the Baptist in the middle of his account of Yeshua's doings, as then still Alva B'Tezaring, baptizing at Enon near Shalem, and that he makes this plainer when he adds, "For Yalganon had not yet been thrown into the gall," the jail. Thus, this is how Yalganun, in his star message narrative, records what the Mashiach did when the Baptist, the Alva B'Tezar, had not yet been thrown into the gol, the jail, while the other three, it's an interesting word, gol, right? It's the goal to go to jail, right? While the other three star messengers describe what happened after the Alva B'Tezar's consignment to prison. Once this is grasped, there no longer appears to be a discrepancy between the star messages, because Yalganun deals with the early stages of the Mashiach's career, and the others covered the last period of his story. And it seems natural that as the genealogy of our Shavor as a man, a blood of the earth, had already been set out by Methuselah and Luke, Yalganun should pass it over in silence and begin with the proclamation of his divinity, since the only true anointed pure great breath of light, the pure breath, the Holy Spirit, had reserved this for him as the great of the four. This is all I propose to say about this composition of Yalganun's star message. The origin of Mark's has already been explained. Luke's work begins with a preface in which the author himself explains the reason for its composition. Many others had somewhat hastily undertaken to compile an account of things of which he himself was fully assured. So, feeling it his duty to free us from doubts as to our attitude to the others, he furnished in his own star message an authentic account of the events of which, thanks to his association and intercourse with Shaul Pool and his conversations with the other royal Malek, he had learnt the undoubted truth. This is how I see the matter at a more appropriate moment. I shall endeavor to show by quoting early writers what others have said and breathed about it. Of Yalganun's writings, besides the star message of light, the first of the letters has been accepted as unquestionably by scholars both of the present and of a much earlier period. The other two are disputed. Give me a break. As to the revelation, the view of most people to this day are evidently divided. At the appropriate moment, the evidence of the early writers will clear up this matter as well. And when we pick it up tomorrow, we'll be at the writings accepted as sacred and those not accepted. And you just got the Forbidden History series, ladies and gentlemen. What they didn't want you to know. But somebody's got to do it. And that's why we're here. And you're helping with the energy and bringing a little more light as well in your observations and all of your contributions. Y'all love, thank you for your great read today. Mew Mew for your quick wit and inspiration to see, well, to know Spanish, Espanol. Muchas gracias. Okay? And thanks to all of you for being there as well, for tuning in. My Sky ID, 5D, thank you. Hello. Good to have you tuning in. And we're peeling the onion. The pinon. Yeah, the pinon tree, right. And Lynn, thank you for stopping by, for always giving us an audio check. And yeah, what a world, Mrs. Smith, huh? As the world begins to stop turning, that reminds me of a program, As the World Turns, right? Well, as the world stops turning real soon, it'll keep turning, but it's just we're not going to be here. That's all. No ozone layer, no people, right? That's right, ladies and gentlemen. So the good news is we've got a better world. And let's go there, shall we? Let's keep it up. Thank you for your prayers, your support. Thank you, Ash. And y'all love, again, thank you. So don't forget, if you want to know the future, you're trying to figure it all out, then you need to look for the forbidden history, because it's all right here. It's what they didn't want you to know. You know it. That desert owl brings on the air, because somebody's got to do it. And I wouldn't do it if you all weren't there. You know that. So, oh, geez, we got the owl family here. Okay, let's give a hoot. Don't pollute. Just tell the truth. And tell your friends, won't you? Be safe out there. As the world turns. Thank you, Ninja, Mew Mew. Peace, love, and light. Trish, thank you. You too as well. On the RealPublicRadio.net, Free America Radio Network, signing off.